kind of lose themselves in their own confidence at times. And well, let's see how it goes. As Lootbet says, it is going to be 1.54 for GAMBIT, 2.38 for ILLUMINAR in the odds department. Definitely favoring GAMBIT. I mean, clearly favoring GAMBIT. But ILLUMINAR not that far off. And let us see how the pistol goes. Ladies and gents, here we are. It is going to be our best of 3, the winners best of 3 out of Group C. Who is the first team to proceed? We will find out after this series concludes. But map 1 so far, train.
Yeah, and it's going to be some pretty quick action as well, it seems, coming in. ILLUMINAR, they've already closed in the distance on Ivy. They're going to be just swarming out and hoping to catch Nafany in the back lines here, and that's exactly what they get. Veggie picks up the opening kill. Inter's going to try and shut down that one player who's looking out from main. At this point, I think he should just try and stay alive. That's Snaps indeed, and I think that is his goal. At this point, it just doesn't matter. Every single kill has come in from ILLUMINAR. That is one of the most convincing pistol rounds I've seen in a while. It is done before really anything happens. ILLUMINAR got into the back line, so I figured we were probably just going to see maybe the B split come in. But once the kill around the old bomb train was found as well, they just had the ability to wrap it into that bomb site from pretty much everywhere, considering they also had snacks up on top of the blue train over towards main.
Well, it comes as a bit of a surprise there that they don't even take a single loss in the round itself, but fair enough. You know, if that's how they'll start off this map, it certainly bodes well, if nothing else. But yeah, as soon as they got into deep line CT, already the gig was up. Double scout, kind of like it, though. Seems like ILLUMINAR, yeah, they have a better idea how to handle it. And Intas, his timing is a bit off. Just as he turns to spot Ivy, he gets himself caught, and that should be 2-0 before long. ILLUMINAR, so far so good. They really are kicking it off a little bit spicier than imagined.
Yeah, I mean, starting off with these rounds being nearly as convincing, well, so far at least as convincing as they possibly could be, but it's making it look nearly as convincing as what we've seen from them up against Aves, which is a bad sign for GAMBIT youngsters here on Train, because this is a banging map, it seems, today for ILLUMINAR and just in general. Nafany had bought up a Zeus for himself alongside his pistol and Kevlar. I would imagine the goal is to save and hopefully take a weapon with him if anyone does come in this direction. The Zeus certainly could be effective in this position, but I doubt anyone from ILLUMINAR comes over in this into this area, because obviously they know there's not a lot for them to actually gain if they are to hunt it down. Sure, they'll take away a pistol and Kevlar, but even if they let that survive over, that is all that GAMBIT youngsters are going to have in this following round, so happy enough to do so. ILLUMINAR though, 2-0, yet to take a casualty, as obviously that allows for them to build up a ridiculous amount of money, and they had also come in with a very safe approach in terms of going for the rifles pretty much on everyone anyway, so that gives them the chance to build up some money and still have effective weapons going into that first gun round.
Definitely putting up a bit of a better show of force than anything else, and I love the fact they keep Innocent on the Mach 10 in that sense. They can let him go first, scout out the area, get the feel of the surroundings, and afterwards move into aggressiveness, or move into an aggressive stance. And so far we see ILLUMINAR just taking control of main, taking it easy. They want to make sure they don't get caught with their hands in the cookie jar. Well, that is going to be definitely a bit of an issue. Luckily, Snacks is able to reply. Supra still there, though. Hold on. Hold on, my dude. This is not yet completely done for. Especially with Intas having that Zeus, and he is coming in behind, as far as I can tell. Intas is on the flank, though. Unfortunately, Supra will be caught. Exile still deploys the USP. But 2v2. Has the flank been red? Seems like that's going to be the... Yeah, definitely been red.
Yeah,
Mouse
they seem to know. Oh, it's going to be tough for them to really do anything with that now, unfortunately. He could get up close, to be fair. If he just stood up close on the corner with the Zeus, then it could still be fairly effective, but he is going to try and go forward, and indeed, as you had said, they were watching for it. Mao's going to be coming in with the kill, and now it's all on Shuro. Hiding up in heaven, though. Overall, this has been a very successful round, though, for GAMBIT youngsters. They did not invest into this at all, so even if they don't manage to get another kill out of here, then I would say they'll be feeling pretty good about the damage, at least, that they've connected. But there's a chance. It looked like maybe for a moment they were going to try and go towards B. Obviously, they realized the time is way too low, so they have to just bring it onto A. But the damage is being done right now. If there was a P250 even in play there for Shiro, then that could have been his round.
Wouldn't be the first time we're seeing him pull a clutch like that. Unfortunately, it's not going to be happening. And for ILLUMINAR, fortunately, it really doesn't happen. In any case, here comes the investment. This is the round that might decide the fate for GAMBIT youngsters early on here in this half. The op up. Shiro, of course, the one to wield it. Likewise, Snacks. And utility-wise, it's actually really good. Considering the position of GAMBIT youngsters, they have a plenty amount of utility to work with. Much more than I actually anticipated. Given that they all have Kevlars to go with and a kit alongside all, it's actually pretty decent. ILLUMINAR, on the other hand, going into a bit of a default their own. Looking for that Ivy control. A few smokes being popped. Not sure if that's more of a fake smoke play, trying to, of course, divert the attention of GY. Now, the one thing that should be a bit of concern is the fact that they only have 3 smokes left. That leaves them a little bit vulnerable in their current position. And Exile lucky to not be behind server there.
Yeah, would have been a bit of trouble rather, as the Molly and such came in, but for now, it is relatively passive from the CT side. They've taken a fairly standard setup with the one player in connector who can rotate over quickly on the op, and then one heavily dedicated to B. And then over on the A side, not really doing anything too crazy either in terms of even a relatively aggressive hold, although it looks like they do want to transition into a bit more of an aggressive, which could unfortunately be something that ends up biting them in the butt, I guess I'll put it, because Veggie was already holding up close in Pop Dog, so that gives them an opening now towards this bomb site. Shiro will at least return one, and Inter's around Sandwich. He's going to be a nuisance for them to deal with, a potential delay at least to slow this push down and allow for the rest of the CTs to get into position, which is exactly what has happened. Already, GAMBIT youngsters are ready to hold this one down. Super It, and he finds one. Gets his second as well. It was actually the only trade coming in so far on towards Inter's, and as I had said, he had already done such a good job just wasting so much time.
Again, yeah, Snacks having to fall back, having only 14 HP. Not much to really work on. He will be able to drop the AK, and Innocent has enough to drop a secondary to one of his teammates as well. That gives them the option to actually go for one last chance here. As GAMBIT youngsters pick up the gun round. Now they do what? They lost what? 3 players? No, excuse me, 2 players. So it's not exactly optimal in the amount they have to rebuy in. But it's better than
not too
losing
bad
it overall. Yeah, it's definitely not too bad. Although let's find out for certain what's going to be the play here for ILLUMINAR. Into Pop they go in an A split. Yeah, it's a fast A split. Okay, I kind of like this idea actually.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. As you said, even with the small bit of damage they had done, that limits mostly the nades rather than the firepower for the CT side, so they're not able to delay as they would have hoped to. But despite those initial kills going over towards ILLUMINAR, GAMBIT youngsters have still somehow stabilized and with that recovered the round. Wow. What the hell? That went from a 3-on-5 to a 3-on-0 in a matter of about 15 seconds. That was crazy. Everything just fell apart for ILLUMINAR. It really did just begin to unravel, and they just weren't able to slow it down at all. They spun out.
They span out of control indeed. The best part is that they come out of Pop immediately without any sort of without any issue whatsoever. But the worst part is, even though they got the frag in heaven, it was Shiro afterwards. It was the rest of the team that started to chime in, and GAMBIT youngsters, they lost 2 players, but as you said, in a span of a few seconds, ILLUMINAR lost the 3 players coming out of Pop. 1 already towards Connector and the rest towards Electro Pop itself. And we have ourselves an eco now. ILLUMINAR having to play with very reduced economy, with very reduced chances. As Nafani snaps onto Snacks. Now they have heard, or at least are aware of the upper brown hole stake for ILLUMINAR. There should be more than enough information available to GAMBIT youngsters. The rotation's been made. Shiro gonna be watching heaven. And this round should be concluding fairly soon, considering the position that ILLUMINAR is in right now. As GAMBIT youngsters, this is pretty damn good. You know, CT side train, you never want to underestimate the T's, nor do you want to give them too much room too early on. Especially when your economy is heavily dependent on that.
Yeah, not doing bad by any means. If they had have lost the round following their gun round and couldn't have chained anything together, then they would have been in a lot of trouble. So just the fact that they were able to now get these 3 in a row, they're able to stabilize themselves a little bit and potentially with that even start running away with a little bit of their own lead. We'll see if they can actually keep this up now. Of course, that ILLUMINAR are back on the guns themselves. No op available though, so obviously going to be something that they are lacking when you're up against an opper with the capability of Shiro, who definitely makes his presence known in the round and probably is not someone you're going to be able to avoid. Oh.
It's not just somebody you won't be able to avoid. It's somebody it's going to have a hard time shutting down if you don't have perfect pre-fire, at least ready for it. Intas through the smoke, though. As Innocent lines up the shot against stop sign, it catches Intas in the preceding line of fire. Nafani turns around, watches back 6, finds one, sees the second in deep. Snack's still able to keep it clean. Somewhat. Back to a 4v3. This is a winnable round for Gambit youngsters, though the timing has to be pretty much hand in hand with one another. Supra. Oh my Supra. He was hunting for Mouse likewise. They were basically going ring around the rosy. And Exile drops the bomb carrier from the front all of a sudden. Exile again, the second as well. It starts so well, ILLUMINAR. They get 2 kills, but they are back to square one.
What is going on? It doesn't seem to matter what sort of advantage they find. They just end up getting delayed before they can actually get onto the bomb site, and in that get kind of, I don't know, caught in I guess purgatory. I don't know what way to put it at this point. It just seems like they're putting themselves in such an awkward spot when they have the ability to move forward. They just need to ensure that when they get the advantages there, that they keep on moving together and just trading it out. Instead, forced to slow things down, they have to go back and try and retrieve the bomb, of course, and Axile just didn't allow that to happen. He got himself a couple of kills and confirmed the round win with that. It's just heartbreaking considering the previous gun round as well, how that went with it being a 3-on-5, and Gambit were able to recover that one too. These last couple of rounds, if either of them had gone the way of ILLUMINAR right now, they'd be sitting with a pretty comfortable lead for themselves. Instead, it's Gambit youngsters who are about to build one up.
Quite the position that they're able to achieve. Supra counting his lucky 4-leaf lowers, or 4-lover cleave.
4-leaf clover.
4-leaf clover. Oh, it's 4-leaf clover. Thank you. Play on the tongue.
Did you say 4-keef loafer?
4-keef loafer? I don't know. Did I say that?
I think so. I don't know what that means.
I think I said
something
4-leaf
shoes.
clover or clover. I don't know. I just screwed it up completely at this point.
Either way, it wasn't quite there. You were close enough though. I knew what you meant.
Close enough. You know, that's the best we can do right now. Supra at 1 HP is not really going to be very effective at, well, any sort of engagement whatsoever. One bullet, one whiff in the wrong direction, and he gets absolutely destroyed. But we will be seeing a bit of mid presence and a bit of a mid take coming out from ILLUMINAR. Even Ivy by Snacks attempted to be taken over, though. Yeah, we can see where this is leading to, right?
Yeah, well, to a round win most likely for Gambit youngsters, but overall not too bad considering what they had into this. And oh, I was about to say the Deagle still has a chance. If he had gotten Shiro up close, then Axel was quite low, and he was also just in the background there in the middle of transitioning up on top of the train, so that could have been scary. In the end, though, only 2 players surviving for Gambit youngsters, so it's not like they're able to build up too much money off the back of that round, and overall a lot of reinvestment has to come in, so there is still chances here. ILLUMINAR, it's early days. They can start bouncing back. If they can pick up 2 in a row, they could break down that economy completely for the CTs as well. So we'll see if this is where ILLUMINAR now can start picking up the pace a little bit again. And again, they've been so successful with opening picks and with early control. It's later in the round so far where they seem to be struggling, so we'll see what sort of adjustments now they're actually going to make.
Well, the adjustments are that they're going to lose the entry immediately. I don't know if that's a proper adjustment, but it's an adjustment, that's for sure. ILLUMINAR, they better start handling themselves a bit more. Okay, Nafani. For a second there, it looked like the molly's going to keep on burning. Luckily, that's not the case. But in the instance of ILLUMINAR, they are not exactly in a very pristine position. They don't have pop control, or at least they are attempting to take it. They have nobody in Ivy, they have nobody in mid-main. They're very much blind currently going on towards the A side. If there is an actual commitment meant for the A side, they better have some sort of a plan in mind, otherwise they're not going to be in it for long. Could even be a fake towards B, something we've seen in the past. Good molly, burning Supra actually. Second one even going on to back train.
Ooh. Yeah, it actually pulls a player over as well through connector. As I said, though, obviously Shiro has already moved back into position, so it's not really going to keep him out for too long, but Veggie will ensure that he's not going to be here to have any impact. Rips his head straight off. And overall, ILLUMINAR are having some success going forward. They've still got a man disadvantage, sure, but they've been able to trade out fairly efficiently considering the numbers that they had. But that bomb, it doesn't have a lot of time to get planted. It needs to go straight down. They continue to get the frags, but it is all onto Snacks now. He gets it put in place, but he's trapped in on the default position, and despite a little bit of cover there from the smoke on one side, he just isn't able to win out the fight up against Axile. If he had have gotten Axile, then there would have been a pretty good chance, I would have said, with the other player trapped in behind the smoke for that moment at least still, but it doesn't happen. Again, a close round, but ILLUMINAR, they aren't quite able to make it happen. Bomb plant at least, it stops them from just bouncing back and forth between the ecos and the buys. They'll be able to buy up again thanks to it, but really they need to start adding more rounds to the board pretty soon, otherwise it is going to begin to get a little bit out of hand for them.
You put it well. They need to start at least punishing Gambit a bit better. We can see the economy is starting to slowly take its own life. We can see Exile at 10,000, Shido at 7.5. They're growing the economy quite nicely, and in this sense, ILLUMINAR might not have an option to really break it anymore if they continue the trend they've been following so far. And ILLUMINAR, what I love about them, that, you know, they have a good idea how they want to go around their T side, how they want to approach it. Unfortunately, the execution seems to be a bit wonky or just a bit off place. I don't know. And in this current position that they are in, let's see what the play will be here by ILLUMINAR. Control contested for.
Oh.
And well, will be taken over. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic right there, being able to take down Axile, denying that early aggression and being able to give ILLUMINAR the man advantage, but doing so without getting themselves stuck into aggressive positions. They're not committed in to get that kill. Instead, they're still just split up in the default pretty much. Although they want to bring it towards B, I believe. Supra, oh damn, he just about hangs on to life. They're getting dinked down to 1 health. Yeah, this is looking much better here in this one for ILLUMINAR so far. If they get this round as well, in terms of the buy, it would have to be drops coming in from Shiro and Axile, so all of the money would be then spent for Gambit youngsters. So this is a big round. If ILLUMINAR can close this one out, they may be able to get another. If they can get another off the back of it, then they may start building themselves into a lead even. So we'll see what happens. Shiro, he's returned 1 kill. The bomb trying to get planted over on B, I believe, or is it being wrapped around at this point? I'm not too sure. Nafany's pushed forward. It was actually the B.
The bomb.
But the bomb up in the B halls, rather. Meows gets the return, sure, but his 2 teammates aren't anywhere nearby to help out. And I was going to say, as they start moving forward, they're going to have to deal with Inters and Connector, but they do it. They managed to get that kill right there, and that should confirm the bomb is going to be securely brought onto the B-bomb site and at that point planted. And as we had said, Super, he got dinked up to 1 health in the beginning. He pretty much had abandoned the B-bomb site and hoped his teammates could hold it, but they could not.
Well, it would be a little bit more to ask out of him in order to hold that by 1 HP, and in this case, as you say, impossible, nearly impossible. That's gonna be pretty much a bit of a wraparound, a bit of a concerning outtake, the way Gambit handled themselves there, but okay. It's only 6-4, so it's not that big of an issue yet. The economy, you know, as much as I was trying to build it up last round, they pretty much not waste, but they pretty much reinvest the majority of it left over. They have what it takes here to potentially still keep the lead, but a loss would most likely give the tide to ILLUMINAR if we can be a bit more objective about it. And smoke into sandwich, smoke in towards back 6. Bit of a slower take. I kind of like this. ILLUMINAR taking their time in moving in closer as Inters gets caught. Gambit seem to not really be ready for this defense. I'm not sure that they don't have too much of a positional advantage. Supra gets one. His exile is caught though. And yet again, Gambit youngsters, look at the HP already, and well, that should be it. I think that should be the round gone. I mean, Shiro and Supra, they don't really have to play to be made at all, and a 1-on-3 left with Shiro with it up.
Shouldn't be really achievable of anything. As you had said, they just didn't have the greatest of positions. They had the numbers there because they had most of the team rotated over already, but they were just held off by the smokes and unfortunately then picked off kind of one by one as well as the push came in. So Shiro really is just left to save at this point. As I had said, they had to drop over all the weapons here in this round. Between him and Axel, they were the only ones who could afford. So they spent everything to buy up here, meaning Illuminar. They're going to get their 5th round, sure, but all they're going to have to contest with in this follow-on is 1 up. Other than that, I wouldn't even expect too many pistols even to be upgraded. So we'll see exactly what happens for Gambit youngsters, but Illuminar, they've been given a big chance now to tie the score up, which will be fantastic considering how this map had actually kicked off for them. I doubt they'll be hunting this. They don't have much money. They need to make sure they can drop over to Rallin and Veggie. Although they could buy for themselves, I think they will probably drop just to ensure full utility. We'll see anyway.
You know what? At this point, if they're reading the economy of Gambit youngsters properly, they should be coming in with maybe an SMG even. Why not, right? You can sacrifice 1 round of utility for one of the players, get him a Mach 10, and then let him run wild across the map trying to get any information, any sort of info that you can perhaps dwell on and play off of. 6-5, and timeout going to be called for ILLUMINAR. This map is definitely kicking off as we kind of expected it. I mean, ILLUMINAR chose to play and chose to play train, and we expected them to perform well, and this is really good. I mean, 5 rounds already in this current instance, with the money being broken for Gambit.
It seems slow compared to what we've seen from them up against Aves, but it is an impressive T-side so far, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this is really good. Like they are actually performing as expected and going a bit above and beyond even to control the current pace of the game. And I mean, if they want to win this map, this is certainly how you do it. And they most likely should be going up to 6 as well, which adds another layer of that buffer already. I mean, T-side train is very hard to play. This is something that perhaps many people disregard, right? You have to be oh so careful and oh so correct in all your challenges and approaches. And sometimes luck has something to do with that, obviously, but for the most part, it's just communication and information that you're able to gather as the T. Because a single mistake can be the death of you. And we can see here, 4 players on B, the stack is being set.
Including a Zeus. I mean, let's be real, that's the god weapon.
I mean, it's the best weapon. It's literally shoots lightning. So, you know, you're just like Zeus, chugging lightnings down.
It never strikes twice, though, so it is unfortunate. Only the 1 round in it, which in this case isn't even connected. I don't think they're going to be expecting the full-on stack, but without the weapons, with just these mostly default pistols, apart from that 1 P250 there just isn't much to be expected. And yeah, not even able to finish 1 off, unfortunately. Mouse just about hangs on. Shiro, he'd been soloing that A-bomb site with the Yop, and once he realizes B is gone, obviously the call is to just go ahead and save it. So I like the idea there. Where he was playing from, he could watch towards Ivy. He could also spot if people were coming out main. At that point, then he could probably pick up a kill or 2 if they came over. And of course, if they went B like they did, his goal is to save. The only issue is this time they have a bit more money. They can justify that hunt, and you can see going for it so far. Not initially working out, but they'd done the damage and, of course, pinned Shiro in that corner. It's actually Snacks who ends up getting the kill. I thought Mouse had it. I was about to say, despite being 6 health, it looked like he was going to get another frag. But he really just used that AK as a sort of suppressing fire to let the op set himself up. 6-6, though. No investment came into that round, as we said, for Gambit youngsters. Just the P250 being upgraded. So they're onto the buy now. But if they lose this gun round, then they're in a lot of trouble because ILLUMINAR will start running away with probably even the half at that point.
Oh. Pretty much so, like you said, running away with the half is definitely an option right now that even Gambit youngsters are well aware could be going down and could be happening soon. The smoke preventing the Ivy control to be overtaken. ILLUMINAR, though, they will be pretty hard pressed. Keep on pushing, and they'll be trying to put as much pressure onto the side of Gambit youngsters as they can to try and, of course, make them play into a mistake. Make them play into their own hands. And well, there will be a first challenge as Exile presents himself. Unfortunately, that's not really going to be working out too well. Pop Flash, though, will be giving Shiro a chance. The Snacks is caught. It is going to be Innocent that replies, though. Nafani from backside, able to keep a very clear eye. Oh, those Supra. I'm not sure why he's watching towards the default, towards bomb train, and now Nafani. As he loses his teammates.
Just falling apart.
Yep. It's a bit wonky, isn't it? It's unexpected, really. Oh. Drops the bomb carrier, though. As Mouse thinking that Nafani has went into old bomb train.
Yeah, he faked out a little bit of a jump across to make it seem like he had. So it's understandable, but I think Mouse should still definitely be cautious of the IV side, knowing that that is a possibility. So he'll drop the molly to at least cover it off, ensure that he's going to get that bomb planted without being rushed down, because obviously moving into old bomb train, it does take a little bit longer. Now he should have pretty much no idea, though, because Nafani could have wrapped around the connector, he could have wrapped around the pop dog even. So if he waits another moment, at that point, I think Mao's definitely going to have to worry about quite a few angles, but we'll see. Now he's moving forward. 22 health is all he has available. He needs that headshot. He's going to find the back. Mao's falls. Nafani, he saves the round. And with that, even potentially the half, because we said if ILLUMINAR had taken this, they would have been likely going up to 8, and yeah, off the back of that, very likely would have been, of course, getting themselves the victory in the half on the T side.
They really would have been able to get it. Nafani, though, saving the day. One hell of a show and a performance and a half. GAMBIT youngsters saved by the IGL, and we've been touting his horn a little bit, and with good reason. He is definitely one of the more talented players to be IGLing plus performing the way he has, or the way he is. And certainly, in this case, the economy is not helping GAMBIT one bit, but they do have the op-up on Shiro that was saved. They do have a few M4s, even a little bit of utility, whatever they can muster up. Although, what is this, though? Inters, I am not sure why he is pushing so deep in towards Sandwich after it being smoked off, after knowing that ILLUMINAR like to take an aggressive stance early on between the trains themselves. And, well, there will be a reply. Shiro. Oh, he spots the player in towards top 6. Exile finds a frag on Rallen, though Vegi's already embedded himself behind the site, Dean. This is not good. This is problematic, to say the very least. Although Nafani, yet again, through Olof, there is a chance for a flank to succeed. And almost certainly he might. There's the bomb drop. Oh, man. A disaster again being spilled out. Vegi?
Oh, we're seeing so many kind of flanks coming in. Yeah, there's another one where the person who goes down, unfortunately, is not looking at the person who shoot at them. So looking like GAMBIT youngsters have managed to do it here in this round, unless Veggie can save the day. He needs the ace clutch, though, so that's not going to be an easy task. He is already 48 health, and he is going to be dropped then by Nafani as well, who's focused up on the old bomb train. So the shot's connected. 8-6, GAMBIT youngsters, they've gone ahead and at least confirmed that they have the lead at the halftime. But being on the CT side, they do want to ensure they get this final round.
Well, they secure themselves somewhat of a meaningful ending of the first half, right? This is, I mean, when you think about it, it went very close once again. It's like on dust when I said that GAMBIT youngsters, they were close to losing a few moments, a few rounds, and without those clutches, without those, not gonna say lucky breaks, but definitely a few lucky stars aligning at times, the outcome would have been potentially very different. And yet again, here on Train, it's much the same. Without Nafani's clutch, without the positional outtake that they're able to surprise ILLUMINAR with, once again, the half could have been ending very differently. Still 8-6. Even 9-6, effectively, if it goes down like that. ILLUMINAR wouldn't be overly concerned about it. 6 rounds for T-side Train is not bad at all. Albeit, they had a very different show against Avez at 12-3, but that's another story for another time. 3 men on the defense of B. Let's see if it works out. Heaven, nobody coming through. What is this? 2 players commit down B. They fail utterly. Now it's an A take behind all of it as Rallen gets exiled. Does it matter? The answer, nope. Not one bit.
Yeah, they were just completely destroyed by that Molotov that went down on the ramp, because that's where both players tried to come in from. It stopped the push. It made it so that the A players didn't really have to commit to their rotation over towards B, because it was still being held off for a while. And yeah, left them in position to stop that fake from working out. Great work from Gambit youngsters to be able to recover back those final 3 rounds, because we had said that it was getting a little bit scary for them. It was getting into a position where if even one more round went to ILLUMINAR, they'd be feeling fantastic. You do still have to say, though, 6 on the T side there for ILLUMINAR is not a bad result, especially if they can get this pistol here on the second half, which is something today that we have been seeing Gambit youngsters struggle with a bit. Those pistol rounds, sure, they got them on the Dust 2 matchup against Lyngby Vikings, but overall they were struggling a bit, especially in those follow-ups as well. Here we go. Just a kit and smoke bot up for the CT side, nothing too crazy, and then for Gambit youngsters, not much either, just the smoke and a flash for Nafany, which I believe he's pushed straight down towards Ivy. Oh,
Does look like it, yeah. It's going to be a bit of a switcheroo, as we do have Gambit youngsters now grouping up in pop. Looks like they want to hit the A side, respectively. Although ILLUMINAR seem to be reading this pretty well. They have a very defensive posture on B, and, well, actually quite a little bit of info gathering for the A site itself. There comes the play, though, through pop, flying out like kangaroos, just jumping around the map. Rowland gonna be able to find the first. That's a great start. Pistol, though, not yet ending. Intez is able to reply, though. Snack still keeping a keen eye out towards Sandwich itself. 2v3, 55 seconds. More than enough time for here for Shiro and Exile to maybe make a difference. Shiro, we already seen him before with his headshot with his pistol. He saved it in the previous best of 1. Now Exile down to a 1-on-2. He's got the bomb and he's making his way towards B. An immediate plant most likely happening. Yeah. If nothing else, the plant already gives a bit of an extra bonus here to Gambit.
Oh, Innocent
Ouch.
sprints in and just wrecks Axile before I can even start trying to build up any form of hype for the potential 1 versus 2, because it doesn't happen. ILLUMINAR, yeah, they get that second pistol round. We said this is what really makes it a... This is what really puts ILLUMINAR back into it. If they get that pistol, if Gamba had found it at that point, they would have had a chance to start building up their T side. But instead, ILLUMINAR likely now to maybe even have a chance to tie things up. It depends whether we see the force buy here or not from Gambit youngsters. Obviously, with the bomb plank going down, you can normally see some rifles and such being pulled out. Looking at the odds up there at the top, it is still 2.24 over to was it Gambit youngsters to ILLUMINAR? Sorry, and Gambit youngsters had 1.58, I believe it was.
Yeah. Kind of drawing a little bit closer. I mean, in respect to both sides, ILLUMINAR deserve to be a little bit closer in this sense, right? They certainly are performing a lot better than one expected, perhaps even. And yeah, good hold by ILLUMINAR. Snacks with the off as well, and yeah, Innocent. I guess that's always nice to see. Bit of a tag around.
Is that his last bullet as well? I think it might have been.
Actually, might have been, yeah. If this was matchmaking, he'd get the MVP award. Killed his opponent with the last bullet.
I was a little bit worried when I seen, obviously, he'd been spamming for quite a while, because I thought maybe he was going to have a chance to just pop out a smoke and catch the player reloading, and I think that was the goal. So pretty fortunate that he did get that kill there towards the end. But yeah, that was an eco anyway, so from Gambit youngsters, so we weren't really expecting much from them.
Yeah.
Now is when they want to step up. They have the op, they have the rifles, all the nades pretty much they could ask for as well. And ILLUMINAR ideally need to try and get this first gun round in their favor if they want to keep on building up this comeback, as we see B aggression coming in. What happened there? Did he just push straight up through the lower ramp on his own as the sole B defender?
I think
he only had an MP9, but still.
Had an MP9, yes. And the thing is, we talked about this in the game between Afez and ILLUMINAR, how you can do the B push. It's not a problem. You can even do it solo. But you have to deploy that deep smoke onto upper brown holes, where you kind of obscure vision for the view of ramp. And then you have to pop flash into the smoke, and then you get on the railing, or you play behind the smoke and do your own thing. In this case, Mouse just kind of risked it all, getting in close. And of course, the reply from Supra is he just jumps on the railing, not even needing to do that, actually, and getting the straight headshot. So ILLUMINAR risking... And more specifically, Mouse risking the round for ILLUMINAR as a whole with that kind of play, with that kind of show of hand. And what in the wide world, what in the wide variety of worlds is happening here? What is that? Veggie?
I don't know. What are they doing in general? This is interesting. They just keep pushing alone and pretty much giving away potential map control with that. At this point now, the push is actually just going to be brought on towards A.
And
I don't think they expect this. Yeah, Nafany coming in from Ivy does get that trade on Snacks, who I think was really the one man that could have shifted this back over towards ILLUMINAR. Having that op right there, he could have put in a serious amount of impact, but pretty much denied at this point. And as you can see, that flank not going through Pop Dog is going to be forced to take the long route. So there's not much to be done before the bomb does get planted. And with Innocent backing away, surely it's just the save as well for Rallen.
I mean, this is all on Mouse and Veggie here. I dare say it because I think it's very much true. Like, I believe it to be true, right? First of all, Mouse that pushing upper brown holes. Okay, he does that. You know, it's the risk that the risk of the round. It is the one risk that you take in the round. And you say, okay, F it, let's try it. Okay, he fails. Fair enough. 5v4. We have to handle that. Then, you know, it's not optimal, but the CTs can still survive, especially with Snacks on the off. Then Veggie decides that he's going to be a smartass and go in towards Pop and actually go up Pop and try to wiggle his way into somewhere. I wouldn't say anything if there was no info for up Pop, but the first time he tried that, there were shots coming out from, I believe it was Exile or it was Supra up in watching Pop push. So basically, you know, the first shots were warning shots. Veggie didn't die. But then, let's say 5 seconds later, he attempted again. It's like, come on, dude. Obviously, the dude is like, there's still going to be somebody watching that angle. Surely they're not going to let you do that, know that you're there, and then you're going to do it 10 seconds later or 5 seconds later, and there's nobody going to be watching. That just doesn't make sense. And GAMBIT Youngsters is kind of being awarded around there. As ILLUMINAR are going to be buying up, but they're going to be using the majority of their bank, and that leaves them very vulnerable and very much wanting for more.
Yeah, I mean, even just at the moment with this round being played slower from the Gambit side, that does have to worry you if you're a ILLUMINAR fan, because you know that they don't have the nades to be able to hold off for this long. So it's going to be a tough one here for ILLUMINAR. If they lose out this round, then they are in quite a bit of trouble. And Gambit, I don't think really want to take any risks at all. I guess thinking, okay, are ILLUMINAR just going to keep on pushing like they did in the previous round? And my answer to that is probably not. If they did, I would be very confused. They know they need to take things a little bit more calmly now. They approached that previous round a bit more wild just because it was the bonus round. But this one, it has everything on it. The game are going to be potentially won, or maybe even lost rather, by this round if ILLUMINAR do drop it. So they need to pick it up. And speaking about picking things up, it's Veggie who finds that first frag. Ends up swinging in, though. That was a weird choice. He definitely could have ran a lot of the time down further if he just tried to tuck in right there around the green train as he was initially. Rallen even finds the back there of Nafany coming up through Ivy. Knows there's one close in Sandwich. A little bit of an awkward spray, but he held it off until Innocent could also get into position for the trade. But the 2-on-2, look at the time. Do they have time to bring this to B? Just about. But it is unfortunately going to be contested as well. So actually managing to get out of the ramp is a whole nother story. Even at that point, what was there, like 5 seconds while Shiro was coming down the ramp? That just wasn't possible.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit wonky.
I'm gonna go look at this back on the replay. It won't come up for like whatever amount of time, but I'm pretty sure he didn't have time. There was like 5 seconds as he was walking down the ramp. I was thinking maybe when he was going up the ladder because there was about 11, but yeah, they were cutting it close. That was weird.
I mean, they didn't give themselves too much of an option really to begin with, right? They really let themselves a little bit dry and mighty there. And well, GAMBIT Youngsters, they're gonna try their best again. Up on Shiro. This time Nafany out mid as he goes on to top 6. He's able to find the first as Intas continues on the charade. It is going to be one more on the table already. Look at the damage though. Holy heckamole. Look at the amount of HP that they have left. Together, the 3 players of ILLUMINAR have more than whatever Gambit have brought up. Although, they do have Shiro. And when Shiro is on a bound, yeah, you can be guaranteed he's not going to be missing a beat like that. And, well, hot dang it. This is truly getting a little bit scary right now. I gotta admit, dude, this is a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, for the CTs to just be trading rounds back and forth like this, it is not a feasible way to pick up a victory in a game. You just can't afford it, because it's not like on the T side where once the loss bonus gets going, you can confirm the buy every round with a bomb plant. No, instead you're going to be always bouncing back and forth between an eco and a buy round, and you'll just be seeing that scoreline getting further and further away from you, and that's what we're potentially looking at right now, because even with these weapons saved over, ILLUMINAR just aren't going to be able to get the weapons dropped in unless they're willing to give over a FAMAS maybe from Innocent, and they might be, just because of the fact that Rallen and Snacks are both looking at the double eco, so they won't have enough to buy in this next round either way. Obviously, Rallen saved over his M4, so he could, if he was able to save it again, then maybe they could scrape it together in the following round. Even Veggie now actually only on 1500, so this is a tough decision to be made at the moment. I think they are opting to take an eco overall and maybe just spend a small bit, keep some money, knowing that either way they're not buying in this following round, meaning we are potentially looking at a 13-9 lead even for GAMBIT before the guns come out, or at least before the full gun round comes out. Because obviously still 2 M4s in play.
Yeah, still quite a little bit there. We had. Now, let's see. Where does this lead us to? ILLUMINAR, I mean, they do have the M4 A1S and the M4 A4, so there is firepower available if perhaps the stars align, that both weapons will be in the same, well, on the same side as the execution will be coming. There's definitely a chance the round could succeed for ILLUMINAR, though relying just on that might be a bit much to ask from them. Well, Rallen, that's a good start. Nafani gonna be caught as the rest of GAMBIT youngsters make their way through heaven. This might just be it. The stack of B once before was already denied well enough by GAMBIT, but this time let's see if it actually succeeds at all. Snacks below. He is able to snag one, though Exile taking out Innocent. That's one of the rifles gone as Exile keeps on chiming on. As Rallen does reply, but dude, that was a beautiful shot. I love Shido, and when he pulls out just a flick like that, you know the clock is ticking here for ILLUMINAR, and unfortunately it ticked a little bit further than they wanted to. This should be 13-9 before long, albeit maybe a few pistols to kind of support the defense.
Not even to support the defense, but to do the defense itself. I would say that previous round was more so where the pistols were supporting, obviously at least having a couple of rifles to help out, but they don't quite have that luxury right now. Instead, it is just, of course, the full-on eco coming in, barely even any upgrades. I mean, there's still 2 players, or rather 3 players sticking to the USPs, 1 P250, 1 Deagle. So this is a good opportunity. GAMBIT, they should be able to build up a little bit of money for themselves, and obviously, as you said, likely take themselves up 13-9, which is really going to be a bit of a daunting scoreline for ILLUMINAR to be facing off against, considering, as we said, this is their map choice. It'll be Mirage coming up next then, and that's one where we do expect GAMBIT to be feeling a little bit more comfortable than we were even expecting here on Train. So how this is going so far, it bodes pretty well for them. It's a very slow round from GAMBIT youngsters, really not wanting to give anything away that they don't have to.
You know how it is, right? They can take it slow, they can take it easy, and they do exactly that. Double drop, something we don't get to see too often, but usually it works if, of course, going up against the non-Brazilian players. Nafani. Okay, just the one. Oh, look,
oh,
look
no.
Sandwich. Look at Sandwich.
He's bypassed it, yeah. Oh, there's
Sneaky.
another kill. Maybe Axel can be finished as well. Oh, he swung out. He was in the back there as well. I mean, 2 kills isn't bad. What, they had Deagles, so 700 and 300 for the P250, so only 1,000 investment. It's not too bad.
I mean, yeah, it's the outtake is definitely not shabby at all, considering what they invested into, but this is where it's all going to be decided, right?
Yeah, it won't matter, is what I was going to say, if they don't win this round, because at that point it's going to be nearly over here on this map already, and obviously the damage to the economy won't really be too useful. But if they do win this one, it could even be limiting the buy slightly in the next round, at least for Super. The rest of them would be able to afford, but yeah, I mean, a couple rounds in a row, ILLUMINAR, they could be right back into this, so I'm definitely not going to be counting them out, and I don't think anyone should be, but unfortunately it gets a little bit harder for me to finish that sentence as I see that Innocent has already been taken down. Axel picks up the opening frag, and immediately GAMBIT youngsters, they slow things down, and I think may even be looking to try and bring most of their forces over towards the B side.
Does look like it. Though I think the question still remains, How does the B defense hold up if in case it is a B hit? Albeit with the current split that's being set, there's definitely a two-faced potential here for, of course, in this case, for GAMBIT. They can choose to go A, they can choose to go B, and the answer will be A indeed, as they have Ivy and main controlled by 2 players. They're going to be attempting to try and break the stride here of the CTs themselves, and look at the defense, look at how they've set themselves up. As the lineup comes in for Al, and he spots the second player crossing to sight. Unfortunately, Shiro had been caught, but it is a 4-on-4 only, and in this case, GAMBIT still at an advantage. They have the bomb site, they have the control currently, and they have no issue to get the bomb down. Now playing this retake.
Oh, shreds back and forth. USB though in the hands of Ral, and he still makes it work even after being forced to turn away from the flash right there. I'm not sure how the hell he comes out with that frag, but he isn't going to live too much longer. So this still seems like it's within reach of GAMBIT youngsters as they bring the frags back, and the bomb, it continues to tick away. It is all on Snacks. He's got the first, but he doesn't have a kit right now, so actually getting that defuse in is going to be another story, although I'm getting a bit scared now. Inters, he's ran through.
No time.
And yeah, it's just not possible anymore. I was worried for a second that maybe the spam was just going to come in once those tracers were spotted, but unless it was instantly for Snacks, then there wasn't really any time to get it done, as you said. I don't think there was any kit nearby either to be retrieved, so that's it. That might be it. We said that round was needed for ILLUMINAR.
Yep.
The op sure is saved, but it doesn't give them enough to drop over weapons to everyone, so they might be just forced to eco and try and play for the overtime.
Well, they might not have much of a choice in either case. At the very least, they'll have to be a bit more passive in this approach, allow Snacks freedom. And this is where I usually try to, you know, build up Snacks, build up the one rifle, as in the hero rifle, which actually has to be. Like, they have to play around the op. That's it. They have to make sure that the op is utilized to the best of its abilities. And right now, Mouse will be able to support that, at least finding himself the first. The second, though, rather hard, rather denied, and it is going to be the B side that's lost in the progress. 2 players pushing in through Oil Dean. This could still be coming a little bit differently than imagined, and the oil push might play a part in the success of this retake. As the angle for Veggie comes in through, Snacks was able to chime in to additionally tap on. And look at this. Hold on. Look at this. This could still go differently, though. Oh my, such a close call. No kit, by the way, so time is of the essence. And Exile, he's going to play it here. He knows that he has the advantage.
Oh, he's dropped down. I was going to say, if Innocent was up there, maybe he couldn't get the molly out. But once he drops down, the molly goes in, the nade as well. And as you said, there just isn't time anymore. This is going to be GAMBIT heading up to 15. It was harder than it should have been, if we're going to be honest, but they've got there. That's the main thing that matters. They will have the money to reinvest into this following round with drops coming in, at least one drop coming in over to Supra. A bit of damage at least, which could help ILLUMINAR if they're able to get this gun round here. Obviously, it could allow them to break the economy of the CTs, of the T side, a little bit quicker than they would have otherwise. But it's not going to be easy. I mean, the buy coming in here should be pretty solid for ILLUMINAR, but they need 6 in a row if they just want to take this one into an overtime. It seems like their own map choice, unfortunately, is going to slip away from them. I like this though. They pulled out the double up setup. I know you kind of hate it, or if not hate it, you sometimes think it's a bit too risky, and I agree, especially if teams are getting control of those bomb sites all the time. But I think the op might be the switch up that they need right now to be able to get themselves an advantage in the beginning and not be every single time just left on the back foot trying to fight into the round from behind.
This is it, right? This is the do or die time, as you said. The op is the one thing that might save them, to double up. Oh, wait, stopping the round.
Yeah, no damage or anything has been done.
Yeah, so definitely a chance that we'll stop the round. Yep. Apparently... Wait, let me double check the admin chat real fast. Nothing yet written. But if I'd had to gamble as to what it is... TeamSpeak issues. No, obviously.
Maybe.
Maybe.
If we were to hope, that's what I'd hope, because that's something that you can fix pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but recently enough, there was someone who I think spilled stuff on their keyboard mid-game, so that was fun.
That was
I think
about a week
it was
ago,
us, was
wasn't
it? Yeah.
Yeah, where
I think it was on train here as well.
Coca-Cola or something was spilled, wasn't it? There's something like
Fun
some
times.
fizzy drink. Oh boy, that is that's the worst feeling ever. Like if you at least have a mechanical keyboard, you know you can salvage it. But oh boy, if you have the normal how to say membrane keyboard, oh, you might as well throw it away immediately. I mean, if you have a membrane keyboard, just throw it away right now already. Just don't even.
I would not listen to Overseer's advice. If that's all you can work with, then work with it. It's not a massive
No,
disadvantage,
come
especially
on,
if you're
I'm
not
just-
a pro player.
I'm just effing with you.
Yeah.
Come on.
Just in case anyone takes that serious, you know.
Just in case somebody's like, oh, he flamed my poor Logitech somewhere, you know, old school. It's completely like,
You're able to
on,
play the
guys.
game. That's all that matters. You're getting the
Yeah, that's
experience.
true. Actually, there's actually a little while ago, I read and talked to a few friends of mine and read something on Reddit. Obviously, Reddit not the best source of information.
You
for
read
that,
it, did you?
Yeah, and it says that, or it said that basically for example, for shooters, it would be better to not use mechanical keyboards because of the, well, response time is good, obviously, but that apparently membrane keyboards would have an easier way of, like, you would have an easier way of moving, and I kind of could see that in a way, you know, because, you know, you press
But
it down.
ew, it feels nasty.
But that's the thing.
I need
it's
my
like-
clicks. I need my clicks and my RGBs.
I need to hear the click, 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 click. You know, I have red red switches, so I'm not that obsessed.
I don't know what mine are. I'll tell you what mine is. It's an Extrafy keyboard. The
It's
Extrafy
probably
K2
blue
RGB.
blue or brown. Wait, just click. I'll hear it. I'll hear it. Just click it. Let me hear it.
There you go. Can you hear it?
That's a double click. That's either brown or blue. I'll
I can look
take
it
a
up at some
gamble
point
and I'll
let you
say
know.
brown.
We're back into it for now, so we do need to focus on this one. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Illuminar, they could have brown all over them because they are getting, I can't say the word on right now.
Well, let's see where they're getting on.
Could have used one of your word replacements. Whatever you always you always throw mad words out there.
I know. I'm just, you know, a mad lad. You know, I should be Irish, not you, man. In this sense,
What
hardwired.
happened there? That was a weird exchange on ramp. I didn't even notice there was a second player who would actually just kind of standing on the middle of it. Good trade at least being found.
Yeah, definitely worthwhile. Snack's able to snap it back, bring it back to reality. Illuminar are not completely out of it just yet. Snacks gonna take Exile out as well. This is perfect. Intis, does he go through the smoke in middle? Well, he will with Shiro's flash. He will successfully taking down Innocent, and we're back to a 3-on-3. 55 seconds. Time is ticking, but there is enough of it on the current clock that, of course, Gambit youngsters can take this with ease, or well, let me rephrase that, not with ease, but at least a bit of patience, not needing to feel like they're being rushed into a deadly end. Let's see how it goes. Well, the tag on Shiro certainly doesn't help
Ooh.
any bit.
Yeah, such an important player. He can still have impact for sure, especially once Nafany pounces here. It is kind of being watched. Oh, and Rallen, yeah.
Oh, boy.
I was about to say the only issue was he was focused kind of on two areas, but he makes the correct decision of where to look and when. And then with Inter's also fallen, there just isn't anything for Shiro, unfortunately, to do anymore, already being on 60 in health. As you had said, tagged up earlier on, 3 seconds, and 3 opponents who are likely to hunt them down as well. So this could be a little bit scary. No, they don't bother with it. Yeah, they need to live with 3 here just so they can drop over. Innocent, he could have maybe bought for himself, but he would have had no nades, so ideally they do want to be dropping both of those players, and that's exactly what we see. 5 to go. I mean, it's definitely achievable, and as we had said, overall the damage had been done throughout those rounds from Illuminar. They weren't letting the money get ridiculously out of control for Gambit youngsters, so they are going to be going straight onto an eco here. But they'll still have a few chances to try and close this one out. It really is all the pressure on Illuminar, though, of course, at this point, being down by 5, and with this being their map choice, knowing that Mirage is going to be a tough one coming up next.
It is definitely going to be bit wonky, is to say the least. You know, I think we both agree to the fact that Mirage is a better map for ILLUMINAR in that sense than, for example, Dust or even Overpass. They'll have to outperform like they are currently. Mouse, Innocent, Veggie, all just chiming in and able to deny any sort of attempt here for GAMBIT to find purchase, to find success. They will clean it up as easy as that. And a respective ending here. 15-11. 4 to go in a row. That's what ILLUMINAR need in this instance. And we can see Mouse holding the line as good as one would imagine, as good as one would hope. Albeit, it wasn't exactly a full investment. Just a few pistols and Kevlar and a little bit here and there. And the op that was saved by Shiro. Timeout though. Like, this is the third timeout, is it not, for ILLUMINAR, if I recall?
Yeah, I think so. Even earlier on, when they weren't doing too bad in the beginning of their T side, after they lost like 1 or 2 rounds, I think they ended up calling it in, trying to stop the lead from going away from them. So they've been pretty liberal with these pauses. They haven't been trying to save them or anything. When they feel like they need one, they've been bringing it in. And yeah, I would say it's a pretty good idea, considering right now they still have 4 more rounds to go, and obviously they know that previous one wasn't to buy. So now they're going to be going up against everything that GAMBIT youngsters can throw at them once again. So they need to keep this up. And will they be able to is the question. I mean, one positive is Shiro at least is kept onto a glass cannon. So obviously that's going to limit his potential aggression towards the beginning. You don't really want to be going in towards main for an early pick because you could get naded into oblivion. IV can be kind of risky, and also over towards B with the nades that to be tossed up the ramp. It's also a little bit risky. So we'll see what he does with it.
Let's find out for certain, as we are going to be having this bit of a split. I love that GAMBIT youngsters are going to be taking this a bit more careful, a bit less on the aggressive side, right? They take their time in approaching it. Ivy, hold it yourself. They're going to be looking for a bit more of a presence to be shown. I kind of like what they want to do here, GAMBIT, for that matter. I just don't like the way they're executing it, actually. Leaving themselves wide open on main. There's a lot of room for mistake. There's a lot of room for errors in that plan, and ILLUMINAR so far have yet to utilize it, or at least abuse that. The window of that option has closed now with, of course, Shiro coming back to hold main. But still, we could see ILLUMINAR being cheeky towards Ivy as well. Excuse me, towards Pop. I love the double setup. It actually gives them a fair chance of holding against any sort of double drop, any sort of shenanigans that GY might be pulling.
Did that smoke
just
fail?
miss?
Yeah, I
just
thought I heard
failed
that
the
bounce
smoke.
back. I was about to say I don't think it'll cost them too much, but crossing old bomb train seems to be the issue, not Ivy itself. Oh, sure, that's so dangerous. Yeah, he tries to take the fight. They're getting demolished at the moment. This is looking really good for ILLUMINAR. Even Super taking too long there to get that kill for himself, and now it's all on Axile, being flanked out, so the bomb plant isn't even an option at this. Okay, maybe it is. He just turns around. They're both actually coming in from behind now, those remaining players as well. It's not expected at this point, though, because he had spotted other players in towards the connector area and such, so he didn't expect that the second one had also gone ahead and joined up with Innocent, and even then he doesn't even get to know that, I don't think, because he's taken out so quickly. 3 more to go, and probably only one of them will be a full gun round, so overtime at this point is looking pretty likely, I would say, for ILLUMINAR, or at least fairly probable. I don't say pretty likely. I don't think that would be a good way to put it, because there is still some chances for GAMBIT youngsters. It's not set in stone quite yet, but it's looking much better than it was even just a couple of rounds ago. It's looking like a much more realistic goal, I would say.
It's definitely looking like a realistic goal, though not as much as, yeah, as one would have imagined. Let's see if the Deagles can maybe make just a tiny bit of an impact, even then, you know, then the goal becomes a bit better, perhaps, or the chance of that goal succeeding, coming to fruition. As Rallen will be holding the line. I like how GAMBIT youngsters again choose to go with 3 and Ivy. It does give them an extra sense of control. But what I dislike is then that they solo challenge the corners. It's like, come on guys, you're 3 there. Surely you have some imagination how you can handle this. And well, I mean, the answer seems to be not, but 15-13. ILLUMINAR. 2 to go, my dude. 2 to go. They're not too far off now. It certainly looked grim when GAMBIT were able to achieve the 15th, and the economy starting to dwindle for the CTs themselves. But in this instance, it is drawing to a close as GAMBIT youngsters no op for Shiro. That tells you a lot. That really spells the beans as a whole here.
Yeah, it would indicate that we probably see them taking up the pace a lot here. And that would make sense. They were having a lot of success earlier on with the quicker paced rounds, so we'll see if it works out for them now. I was thinking maybe it was going to be towards B, but at least all the nades and most of the focus here around main would indicate that it likely is to be the straight up A hit. And for the moment, there's only 3 in position. Because of the presence that was shown in the B halls, I was going to say that slowed any rotations from coming in. But I don't think it's going to matter too much. The opening kill has been found by Veggie. They've slowed down this push to nade as well, doing some serious damage. And the kills, they just continue to go in favor of ILLUMINAR as they illuminate and light up the kill feed. Veggie with 1 more has, at this point, I would say pretty much confirmed the round, and he just keeps on going as well. Super, he has very little chance. He gets the 1 kill, but that's just a small little, I guess, glimpse of hope for himself there out of that round, as it's looking dire now. I mean, 1 more for the overtime. There was no bomb plant found, obviously, for GAMBIT youngsters, so they're scraping together what they can here for the buy, and it does not look too good. 3 Galils, the 1 AK should be found for Axile at least. Actually, they get one out on Shiro as well. But it's not fantastic considering even with the full buys they've been struggling to close this one out.
I mean, they've really just been going about this very linear. GAMBIT youngsters, they are. You know, I've been praising their default, but their default hasn't really been giving them that much success. And it's not necessarily that the default is bad, it's just the way they're executing it, the way they're approaching it. They're literally putting themselves into one-on-one fights, and sometimes, yeah, they help each other, but most of the time, it's more than anything just a player trying to single-handedly take the round for himself. And it's never going to succeed when you have a double up setup, when you play against a double up setup and you work against a CT side that is extremely determined to make sure they make it into OT. And well, right now, Rallen through back 6 will find 1. Snacks gets caught in a bit of a weird position, still survived, as Innocent is able to already snap onto Exile. This is looking like OT might just be coming up, gents. GAMBIT youngsters, they are looking very defeated mentally speaking. They don't seem to have any solution. They don't seem to have any plan. And well, that is going to be a wrap. Nafani 1 on 4. Make it a 4 on none. As 15 to 15, and OT actually comes up. ILLUMINAR, pull it all the way back home.
This is GAMBIT youngsters. I don't know if they're going to be able to get this one done now. I feel like ILLUMINAR, they've got into their winning ways. They're feeling better now again. This is their map choice. We've seen how strong they were in it earlier against Aves. I think now coming into the overtime without the worry of the economy mostly, that they probably will be able to get themselves this finish. I think GAMBIT youngsters, they may have let it slip away, but I wouldn't mind being proven wrong. I just feel like at this point, ILLUMINAR, they're looking so good.
They really are. They really are. I mean, they seem to have finally brought out the side of them that we know, that we've seen against Aves, especially on train. And I mean, 29 frags for Veggie, 27 for Allen, and the rest not even trailing behind that much. Everybody being able to chime together for this victory. Whilst for GAMBIT youngsters, I'm actually surprised that nobody's popping off as crazy as one would imagine. I mean, sure, Exile at 23, but that is a little bit quiet even for him. Compared to Shiro's 20 as well, it's uncharacteristic is, I guess, what I want to say. And Inta's, he's had a bit of a tough performance here on the first and the second half. Not that, you know, that necessarily affects them the loss, but definitely has a part to play in that sense. Bit of a break seemingly. We're taking a bit of a moment here for the players to take a breather, maybe refill their water bottles, get their senses about them as we get ready for the first half of OT, folks. The first map here in this winner's best of 3. The winner, of course, proceeding out of Group C for the Eden Malta Vibes, the 3rd cup in the series already. And time flies truly, my dude, doesn't it? I mean, just like that, we're already in the 3rd, well, effective cup here. Quite amazing, really, how quickly it's all been played.
Yeah, hopefully we aren't going to be waiting too long. You don't want a big break in the action. It can cool off both of the teams, especially the team who was really feeling the momentum. If you're sitting around for a while, you can get a little bit antsy. But I do believe that the noise that we're hearing at the moment is that countdown back into the live. So we should be ready to go now any moment. And yeah, as I said, no worry about the money. So they should be able to get pretty much whatever they want. Although if the double up setup keeps on coming out for the CTs, that's when it can get a little bit too costly going into the round number 3 if they haven't found any success up to that point. And obviously ILLUMINAR, they are going to go onto that double up setup. They were loving it during the regulation, so it makes sense that they keep on using it. And Rallen at the moment, he's sitting 27 to 20, Veggie on 29, Snacks on 20. Really just across the board, there's no one really who's trailing behind too far for either team. It has been a fantastic game so far as we predicted, and we're going to see who's going to get the victory. Will it be here in this overtime, or will we need even more? I wouldn't be too surprised, as the Ops are actually going to challenge over towards Ivy early on. Shiro attempted a bit of a mad flick right there around the Molotov. He wasn't able to connect, but without going down himself as well, obviously he's given the room then to drop the smoke. And I was going to say, with that, potentially get them some good control around that area, but they've decided to give up on that and look elsewhere instead. And in the meantime, Axel, someone who's been so important for Gambit youngsters in terms of picking up open and frags and the entries towards the bomb sites, he's been taken out.
And yet again, Gambit youngsters having to begin with a man lost, right? So far, that has been the prerogative, the narrative for the last 5 rounds, that ILLUMINAR were able to pull back, to swing back into the OT. And truly, it's a bit awkward how it's all gone down the drain. Gambit youngsters, now, you know, when we look at series against Ultimate Attacks yesterday, they won with OTs, double. And, oh my god. Are you, come on, this is just a disaster. This is truly a just a disappointing performance that I don't even know how else to describe it, besides the fact that I'm just I'm a little bit numb to the overall shaky hands move. Yeah, I guess shaky hands might describe the current feeling of Gambit youngsters. Not necessarily that they're shaking for actuality, but just the fact that they are absolutely just what is this, man? What is this? How Snacks with an AWP flanks them through pop in like the 50-second mark when they're setting up for a B execution. It's like, come on guys, surely you know better than to leave your flank that wide open.
Yeah, I don't know. It's surprising that they didn't have anyone watching for that right there.
Exactly,
And
right?
just the fact that Snacks is able to keep on going with the up as well.
Yeah.
They couldn't really afford, to be fair, at that point to react, turn around and try and swarm him or anything to ensure the trade, just because of the fact that they were still worrying about the actual bomb site. Basically fighting a war on 2 fronts at that point. Ah, Super even gets spammed down through the smoke. Everything is just going the way of ILLUMINAR over these past, what has been now, 7 or so rounds. Oh, another kill through the smoke for Snacks this time.
This guy.
Oh, Lord. A bit of vision at least this time before the bullets are connected. It doesn't quite get the frag, but Axel at least being tagged up as well. This is not looking good for Gambit youngsters. They're doing what they can to try and get the return in the trades, but it's only Nafany who moves forward. Shiro eventually given a frag for the patience there that he exhibited holding from the ramp, but 2-on-4, there shouldn't be a lot to be done unless ILLUMINAR end up taking some one-on-ones and giving the opportunities over, especially to Shiro and this AWP, who we already know can be an absolute menace. So they do need to be a bit more cautious there. They have that flank coming in, so they can definitely wait a little bit longer for Rallen to get into position. Oh, okay, they may not have to anymore. Innocent just wrecked Shiro. Axel has dropped down from heaven as well.
Oh man, Exile. Okay, taps away, but unfortunately, you were saying about the flank not being necessary, and indeed it wouldn't have if Exile wouldn't be pulling off that crazy stunt with his double.
Last bullet tap.
Yep, the last moment there, at the last second, Exile is able to pull that into a one-on-one. Unfortunately, Rallen at that same time just walks down ramp, and literally Exile jumps into this crosshair, and that will be the worst timing of the history there for Gambit youngsters, that now they're left with barely anything to work with. It is, I mean, in terms of rounds, this is it. You know, if they don't pick it up here, they're in distress. They won't really have an option but to go for second OT. Even then, that's questionable, given how we had the first half finish at 9-6. ILLUMINAR looked a bit wonky here and there, but they certainly looked solid enough to be able to break it at least for 1 round. And we can see right now, oh, Nafany getting hit by the Molotov, stopped in the process as Rallen is lined in. This is truly just a very disappointing show by Gambit. All I can say, I hope they have a better plan ready for the second half, because right now it looks like it's a 3-0 at the very least. Shiro misses a vital shot. That could have been a round opening moment where They might have been able to have a 3v4 after plant. Instead, look at the flank again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they seem to always have a flank that's ready to come in. So I would imagine they're not going to be too unexpected of it on the T side, but they can't really afford to worry about it right now because they had to try and actually get the bomb planted as they get cleaned up. That was so convincing in the overtime. I mean, I said coming into the overtime, I thought ILLUMINAR were going to be able to get it now that they didn't have to worry about the economy, now that they had seemingly kind of warmed up, I guess, here on their own map choice. But I didn't expect them to be able to just sweep up all 3 rounds as convincingly as they did.
I think none of us, nobody would have thought that GAMBIT youngsters would have such trouble getting at least 1 round. And
it has been, what now, 9 in a row for ILLUMINAR?
It
was 15-9, right? I believe, yeah.
Yeah, 15-9. So yeah, this would be 9 in a row. Wow, yeah. That's pretty slick. That's pretty wicked. And if they can make it 19, well, that's 10 rounds to conclude the cities, or excuse me, the map with. That will be pretty damn sick. In any case, let's find out how it goes. Shido and Exile, double up being set. Exile in Ivy. This is a classic 4-1 take by GAMBIT. Playing a bit more defensive for the A side itself, knowing that ILLUMINAR like their fast approaches. Quite a few rounds back in the regulation time where GAMBIT lost to a fast approach towards A, but Snacks taking down Shido. That is a perfect opener, and he's ready for the top 6 as well. Look at that.
I think Inter's realized he may have seen perhaps the top of the head coming up, but yeah, just threw his molly in. With that, even allows for his teammate to follow up with a bit of aggression and gain some control to at least make up for the man disadvantage. But the issue is, they're swarming the B-bomb site already. Supra is gone. It's a 5-on-3 as ILLUMINAR on the brink of finishing off Train right here and making the comeback successful. This has been just such a fantastic performance from them, and they are not slowing down. I mean, they're barely even losing players in the overtime.
Well, they didn't lose anybody in the last round, and looks like they will only lose Rallen here. Intes and Nafani. The retake has to be, well, theirs, and that's it. There's no doubt. There's no second chances. There's no second thoughts. This is it. It's all or nothing for them, and getting in close already is going to be a problem. Veggie hears it all, dropping down to Fanny like Spider-Man. Unfortunately, he is going to be dropping like a fly, and it's going to be Dan to Intes, a 1-on-2, and make it a 2-on-none. Snacks closes it out. 19-15, we close out the first map with success in OT, man. In OT for GAMBIT youngsters. Excuse me, by ILLUMINAR. One hell of a performance. All I can say is, well played, ILLUMINAR. Well played. Going on Mirage next. This is the scary idea that, you know, I kind of had in mind. And the fact that GAMBIT youngsters are unable to close the map, that is problematic, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, we said it before that we would definitely favor GAMBIT youngsters then going on to Mirage, but off the back of such a comeback here from ILLUMINAR, that can be very, very demoralizing now for the younger players, especially over on that GAMBIT youngster side, as the name says, as the name implies. So we'll have to see if they're going to actually be able to go ahead and bounce back from that one now mentally going on to Mirage. I still have hope. I do think we could potentially still see the 3-map series, and if not, I would expect another close map at least to come in. So do make sure you stick around, guys. We're going to have some more great CS coming up just after the break.
Nice shot. Lock and load. testicle fights I've been to.
Nice shot. Lock and load.
testicle fights I've been to.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We just witnessed an incredible comeback before going to the break. Of course, ILLUMINAR pulling off a ridiculous performance, getting, I believe it was in the end, was it 10 rounds in a row, being able to pull it back to get that
Yes.
victory. Flawless through the overtime. Flawless, of course, from the point of being down 15-9, as they had to in order to not lose that map. And with that, they were just about able to salvage their own map choice. But not normally, okay, in this position, you'd be like, yeah, okay, the fact that it went to an overtime here on their own map choice is probably something to be worried about. But no, I would say with the comeback that they made happen, that they're going to be feeling really good, really confident now moving on towards Mirage, and that it is going to be GAMBIT who are maybe a little bit worried. Again, the map in general would favor GAMBIT, but it's Mirage. Anyone can play it. ILLUMINAR definitely are able to play it as well, and I do think they're going to be feeling pumped up now and motivated to try and come through with that 2-0.
I mean, as you said, like 10 rounds in a row to be pulling it back from the brink of death, effectively. You know, they were almost gone. If one would have already written them off. I mean, you and I both were already ready to write them off like this. Basically, it was 1 inch away from being the end. But I mean, ILLUMINAR, hats down. They played a game that I didn't expect them to bring on the table. And right now, as you said, Mirage being our second map, I am definitely very much hyped up to see what they can play with, what they can bring on the board and give us a taste of. I mean, it was something else entirely. The way they were able to shut down Shiro, first of all. Now, obviously, we can kind of go on the side of GAMBIT youngsters and maybe berate them a little bit for their own lack of, not necessarily confidence, because that's something you can't really berate them for, but definitely a lack of
Initiative, maybe?
Initiative, definitely, but more than anything, how they approach the rounds themselves, right? How they went about the rounds themselves, how they went about every single round from, let's say, 10-15 forward. So when they knew, okay, we lost that chance to close it out 69, how do you approach then the rest of the 5 rounds you are left with? And every single round that they had a buy round in, they never really relied on perhaps for Shiro to secure the entry. They never really relied on anybody to be a bit more not. Oh my God, I apologize. I just got flabbergasted because there is a huge rainstorm outside, just a classic rainstorm.
Oh, your reaction made me think there was like a bee coming right at your face or
well,
something right there.
What looks
you
out,
got real scared and went like, oh.
It looks like it's the end of days outside, just like 2 days ago, if you recall, a few days ago we had it. But back into the mind of the game, back into the mind of the players. What I was really the most concerned about was the fact that whenever you saw a full buy from GAMBIT youngsters, you would always have a splinter cell from a few players, just like, you know, one went Ivy, one went Pop, one went Upper Brown Holes, and then never really tried to do something together. Yeah, sure, we saw that attempt through Ivy with 3 players, but 1 by 1. Even on pistols, they went in 1 by 1. And that's the one thing that gave the chance to ILLUMINAR to start picking up free frags, you know, a kill there, and then all of a sudden it's a 4v5 or a 3v5, and you know how that spins out of control quickly. And ILLUMINAR, they really just read them like an open book, and nothing that GAMBIT did worked. And hopefully Mirage will be a little bit different. But this is where my idea comes in from the pregame before we started this all off. What happens if ILLUMINAR win Train, and then we go on Mirage and they perform likewise or even better?
Yeah, no, I still think GAMBIT youngsters should be the favorites here on Mirage, but especially if ILLUMINAR are able to get off to a good start, then I would be very worried at that point, just with the sheer momentum going in their favor. Because we've got to remember, GAMBIT youngsters, they did get themselves a decent enough start back on Train.
Yeah.
And then for a while, ILLUMINAR begun to recover. Even ILLUMINAR, their own T side, it was very similar in terms of the mistakes that you were saying that Gambit youngsters were making. So it was an interesting one all around. But yeah, the fact that it did end up being such a kind of convincing game for ILLUMINAR, despite having lost control a couple of times, because obviously went down the middle, got a little bit back in, then it kind of started running away from them again. It seemed like Gambit youngsters had done enough on their CT side. It seemed like they had done enough when they hit that map point, and in the end it just wasn't. So we're going to need to see more from them now. We're going to need to see them picking up some convincing pistols, and ideally backing up as well, being able to back up those round wins alongside actually building up economy, because that was one issue that we seen, at least for them on their CT side during regulation, was that they were just bouncing back and forth between those pistols and the guns each round. And at that, I think it was, even though they were up 15-9, they only got like 3 full gun rounds before it actually went into the overtime.
An excellent point you brought up, just to touch quickly on it, like the pistols, right? They won both pistols. I believe they won both. No, they lost the first pistol, excuse me, and they won the second one. But they did lose the even against, in this example, even against Lyngby Vikings, they lost basically the second round. And the same happened against ILLUMINAR, right? They lost the second round, and it kind of just takes away a little bit of their, a little bit away from their scary factor, from their fear factor, if you want to put it like that, right? Because ILLUMINAR, the more they respect their opponent, there's a bigger chance perhaps they're not going to take those aggressive moves. One thing that comes to mind is that Snacks play, that flank by Snacks, that 4v5 that went to the execution by Gambit, and Snacks comes up with the op through pop, and he actually goes for the frag and saves it all. Now, the knife round will conclude in favor of ILLUMINAR, so they'll be starting CT most likely. But just to kind of bring the whole point around, basically, the fear factor of Gambit youngsters had been lost as soon as they started to be a little more, how to say, individualistic based rather than team based. And ILLUMINAR, they read them, they were able to work against them, and afterwards, well, the end was nigh. And in this case, again, we see ILLUMINAR, you know, taking the knife round. The pistol that they began with was, I think, clean even. They didn't lose a single player, did they? On the pistol on train, I believe, on the first.
No, I believe so. I think it was actually completely flawless. I think we said that. I think I said it was one of the more convincing pistols I'd seen in a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that now. You reignited that memory. But yeah, no, I would say here coming into this one, Gambit definitely do need to take this pistol just so that they don't allow for ILLUMINAR to keep up that level of performance that they had throughout the entire second half, or at least most of the second half of train, alongside of course the entirety of the overtime. So we'll see how this goes. It is looking like Gambit want to bring things over towards B. They do have I believe a few nades there on towards Nafany. It's actually just a flash at the moment, so not a lot for them as they work forward. They just need to try and actually find these opening frags, and it's going to be a tough one apparently, because Rallen, indeed, as you said, the flash comes in, he's able to peek off the back of it, does only end up getting one, but he also done some pretty decent damage on towards Inters, especially to make it that bit easier now for his teammates, who have already rotated in. All 4 CTs pretty much at this point, including obviously Snacks on a flank, because he loves them. Snacks loves to get you from behind. It's his favorite way to do it.
Yeah, you've made it sound dirty there, and certainly he is a little bit dirty, but let's see if perhaps Shadow might have something to say about that. Unfortunately, oof, that was very close indeed. Snacks able to save it in the end, but the pistol still goes to ILLUMINAR, unfortunately for Gambit youngsters. And as you said, that pop flash really helped out Rallen, at least securing the first, and the damage even on, I believe it was Inters indeed, or was it?
No, it was Inters, yeah.
Yeah, it was Inters, yeah.
I think he did a tiny bit elsewhere as well, but Inters was the one he brought low.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, speaking of what's low, is the odds for Gambit actually. Well, not as low as what could have been, but ILLUMINAR 2.51 at Gambit 1.47, and that's pretty damn decent. In any case, it will be a full eco round, and I mean, a single kill is not that bad. The second, even better. This definitely adds on a little bit. Did he try and run up with his knife out there? Was he trying to find the weapon? I don't know. That was an awkward one right there. But they got the bomb plant at least. That is obviously a lot more than I think they would have been expecting. It would have been one of the goals, but considering they didn't have any investment, they were probably like, we'll try and get the bomb planted. Even if it doesn't happen, a kill or two would be nice. And they get the bomb planted as well as 2 kills. So really successful round coming in there from Gambit youngsters, ensuring obviously the reinvestment has to come in here from ILLUMINAR. Sometimes that can be a bit of a blessing though, because it ensures usually that you're going to be working in with mostly stronger weapons, at least into the opening gun round, but it obviously doesn't give you the bonus round. If you are to lose it, then you'll be just put down onto an eco instead. So a lot on the line here coming into the opening gun round, a chance for Gambit youngsters to
to try and get around for themselves. If we include Train, it's been 12 in a row at this point for ILLUMINAR, so they don't want to let this keep happening.
Well, ILLUMINAR, this is a perfect start, like we insinuated, if they are able to transfer a little bit of their confidence and their success of Train here. Oh my, Veggie. We don't catch it fully, but Supra and Afani both getting caught. That's a huge problem. Mid control being contested for and failed for GAMBIT. That is a problem that they might not be able to deal with. Now, luckily, Inta's in exile, though. An immediate return. With both Veggie and Snacks being as low as they are, chances are pretty damn good here for GAMBIT. Albeit, look at the push by Rallen. He's taking matters into his own hands. There should be... No, excuse me. There should be a spot by Shiro, as far as I can tell, through B house. If that's going to be something they will be aware of. Oh, they're going to check close Shiro, though. He's lined up for a bit of a different angle, though still is able to hit it. As Rallen, close range, cannot avoid the detection. And cannot be a surprise as Veggie and Snacks are left. No utility, but they do have the weapons at least to work with.
Yeah, and Veggie is going to be in a decent enough position here, having wrapped back around over towards A, but he's on low health, and with all three moving together on ramp, it's going to be difficult for him to get anything more than one, if even that. So, yeah, there we go, pretty much confirmed. I was going to say, so it should be GAMBIT youngsters being able to find that A bomb site, and indeed they do. At this point, honestly, Snacks is probably just looking to save the FAMAS. Just because of the fact that Mouse is looking at a double eco. The rest of them aren't, though, so it'll be interesting to see if they maybe would consider taking the one eco to buy into the follow, and there's a better rifle as well. I mean, yeah, it's very likely that they will actually buy at this point. Snacks could even get an op. If he's willing to not be pulling out the nades, of course, behind it, he could pull out the op, maybe use it himself, maybe drop it over. Either way, though, an op and an AK, and then enough for Innocent to buy as well. They can pull together an okay investment into this following round as long as the weapon is saved.
In this instance, I think their the op should be available to Snacks. I mean, he does have, what, 5,000 out of it? Yeah, the op should be available. So I would bet my bottom dollar that he's going to go for the op here.
Considering you're not going to have weapons on everyone, you want one
exactly.
to try and equalize the overall firepower just a little bit.
Exactly, and Mouse has double eco. I mean, Veggie and Rallen might be as well considered a double eco. I mean, not necessarily full double eco because they do have 2.5. So time it, okay. See, I respect this from ILLUMINAR. They've shown a great, how to put this best would be a great understanding of how to approach moments like this. It's not like a direct choice by the IGL. Okay, let's do this. Let's force up. Let's buy up. They take the time out and they discuss amongst themselves. How are they feeling in the second? How are they feeling in the moment? Do they feel like they can work it with the one up and the AK save and the M4 by Innocent? And I mean, if you take a look at it from a bit of a technical standpoint, as you said, the op will definitely make up for the lack of firepower on one of the players. The AK drop gives, obviously, Mouse, Veggie, or Rallen a chance to be, again, very impactful. And Innocent can buy for himself. Like, this is a pretty decent buy, considering all things. And, you know, there will be, obviously, an SMG in play and a pistol, most likely, for one of the remaining two. But this is not that bad of a moment, not that bad of a position to work from. And ILLUMINAR, I respect the decision here that they go for the timeout and discuss it, because it shows you that they really are putting everything and all five players considering an option like this and being prepared for this. And
oh yeah,
look at the setup, dude. Just, I love this setup so much from ILLUMINAR. I really do. That they're focused on A more than anything.
Oh, and I mean, Snacks just instantly able to get a kill there with Inter speaking out. Surely they knew at least one weapon was saved over, so that's a very, very risky peak to be attempting in that position. Giving over the advantage to ILLUMINAR. The weapon I don't think is going to be retrievable at least anytime soon, although it is on the ramp and in theory could be. Obviously Mouse already has a weapon as well, and we can see the push starting to come in towards B, so it is still going to be these deagles just in the hands of Rallen and Veggie once the push does come in. That's the only issue. The main defenders on B only have the pistols. They do have a bit of help from Snacks, and he actually catches Axel there jumping over through the edge of the smoke. Rallen on the deagle. He doesn't need anything else apparently other than a little bit of help from Veggie as well to go ahead and with that pretty much end this round. It is all on to Shiro. He's been having some solid rounds throughout the series so far, but that is way too much to ask of him. I don't think many people you can expect to be coming out with 1v5s on an often basis. Is if anyone, there's no one really. Maybe Zywoo, you don't doubt him. You think you probably haven't, but in general, even then, most of the time you're like, this is probably over. So.
Do you know who comes immediately to mind whenever you say 1v5 or 1v5?
I think of the Existence one from a long time ago.
The only person that comes to mind to me is Haji, and even then, you know, ways back is when I would really believe in him. Today,
the Guardian one too.
Oh, Guardian, yeah, definitely. Guardian, oh boy, when he could. Well, when he was still playing, when he was still effectively one of the best ops in the world. Oh boy. I mean, it feels
you
like
remember a Guardian flick?
Was it?
No, it's the meme, as you remember.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I didn't catch it. Sorry.
It's all good. I'll let you away with it.
You're younger than me, so in that case, you have better memes than me, better knowledge of the memes.
Okay, boomer.
Hey, I'm not a boomer.
I've showed myself as a boomer by saying that.
Yeah, seriously. Well, unfortunately for GAMBIT youngsters, they're not as old as Snacks, so experience might be a little bit lacking. And well, you can see that experience could have come in handy in the round itself, right? I mean, it's a 4v2, and they did get the entry, but that is going to be the round gone most likely. Oh, Exile, the timing here could be worse as he gets spotted. Snacks will take down Inters 4-1, and that op choice was the best one they could have been making in that instance.
Yeah, now that they're back in the bye here, I mean, just looking at the scoreboard so far, Shiro's up on 7, 3 down on Inters, and Nafany's even yet to get on towards the board. And we said even though he is the in-game leader, normally he's someone you expect to still be able to put up a decent number of frags. So I'm hoping that he isn't going to be kept off the scoreboard for too long, that he's able to get going soon enough.
I just recalled, was it, who was it yesterday with 0-11 or 2 days ago? I think it was
Crucial, I think.
Crucial, yeah.
Look at this from Innocent, though. He had pushed into under right in the beginning. They're just been incredibly aggressive around mid in general here on the CT side. And so far, not working out too well. A good job as well there to actually get the drop down so that they have the two kind of different angles, I guess, to fight Innocent with. It wasn't really, obviously, because one player drops down in front of the other, but that is very difficult to deal with, as you've seen. But yeah, Nafany's been dropped now by Mouse around them to spawn. Was he trying to, I believe, make his way in through Mortar Hole? That's an interesting choice considering they had the 3-on-2 and they nearly had the A-bomb site pretty much as well. Now it's suddenly dropped back in favor of the CTs. It's all on Shiro.
Again, Shiro, and this time, no such luck as Mouse pops onto Ticket and just shuts him down easily. And Nafany gets 2, sure, as you said, going through Murder Hole, though, not clearing his left-hand angle is the undoing of his. And now, as you can see, the confidence in this case and just the love between the players. Just, you know, you love to see the friendly banter between everybody. 5-1, GAMBIT youngsters, they are taking a beating. And see, this is exactly that was my concern in the pregame that before we began with Train was what happens if GAMBIT youngsters lose their first map and it's a close series as it was and they were at an advantage. It's not like they would have lost 16-5, right? Because that is completely different in my opinion for GAMBIT youngsters. But because it is so close, because they're so close to winning it, I mean literally one round away from taking it home, it has a mental toll that I guess it's hard to measure, it's hard to encapsulate. And oh, they missed the CT smoke. Come on guys, this is a brutal rookie mistake that should not be happening for GAMBIT youngsters. End of story. That's it. It's a brutal mistake that will cost them this round at the very least. Luckily, it's not a gun round, right? So that's one thing. But it's still a cost that they should not be paying.
They weren't expecting a lot. I think they were just trying to be as crazy as possible to throw off the CTs and hope that they could manage to sneak that bomb out onto B.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Absolutely, they wanted to go for the ninja bomb plant, but again, you can't afford to lose, or excuse me, you can't afford to miss a smoke like that, especially if you're trying to sell the fake, right? That's what that's the worst part, because we could already see ILLUMINAR pulling off of B site by the time they started to execute. So the idea was good, the execution though just wasn't right, and we could see the Malta Hellcase promotion there. So guys, go check out Malta V15 for extra 15% deposit bonus or refill bonus. Go check it out now on Hellcase. In any case, the gun round is here. So far, GAMBIT youngsters do at least find mid control.
Oh, the nade gun I thought a little bit too far to do substantial damage to Super, but it actually did end up tagging him down to 55. So again, a pretty good start into this round for the CTs. But overall, at least in this one, Gambit youngsters, they are able to get that full-on mid control without having to take too many fights for it. So that is a big positive, especially with the amount of time, of course, that's still on the clock. They can set themselves up really well for really a split towards either of these bomb sites. And at the moment, it looks like it wants to be over towards A. I believe having a player up in ladder room as well, so with that probably wanting to try and plant for connector / short, because of course having someone there who can cut off rotations and who can play time on the bomb makes those retakes so difficult for the CTs. We'll see if more success now is going to be found for Gambit youngsters. They need to get going forward soon enough, and perfectly timed from Snacks to reposition the spot connector initially. Followed up on Inters as well. He will be traded back by Shiro, but either way, good work from Snacks. He's been able to at least give them the one-man advantage. Oh, but yeah, I had mentioned that lurker in the ladder room. I wasn't sure if anyone would move in that direction, at least without being cautious of it, considering they had lost mid. I'm surprised Veggie wasn't watching for that. But Meows, he has a flank of his own.
The best part there, ILLUMINAR dropped the smoke into Palace, and with that, they fooled Gambit the youngsters thinking that nobody was in Palace. Now Mouse springs into action, drops Supra, and that's the bomb. No, excuse me, Shiro has the bomb. Oh, okay, misunderstanding there. But still, as you said, the bomb was initially intended to be planted for short. I can guarantee it, especially with the player in Whorehouse. And look at this Innocent, the timing here. As Exile tries to cover the white flank, Shiro goes for the plant, and with what, 10 seconds on the clock, they have no other option but to attempt it. And Innocent just says, nope, I am not going to allow that to happen, and indeed he does not. 7-1. And just look at this. This is where the smoke blooms into Palace. Snacks gets 2 kills, which is already absurd in the position he is in. And not only that, and then Mouse comes in from Pit, who has the cover of the flank, Jungle being overtaken, and Shiro and Innocent, well, Exile and Shiro meeting their untimely end by the hands of Innocent. This is truly looking very weak. Gambit youngsters, forced by into a B hit. Might work.
Maybe. There is Molotovs, nades, and everything really here for the CTs, though, to delay that push, and that's exactly what you see. The second Molotov actually going to be thrown in pretty quickly as well. Not delaying it too much. They didn't want to give any room for the Ts to start pushing through before they could get that put down, and yeah, they've just completely held off that B push. No room at all to move forward for the Ts until they're already sitting with a man disadvantage at that point, and the nade's still there for support. Innocent has the flash come over to help out. Veggie comes in to give support to his teammate who needs it as he was trapped around that back pillar, and indeed getting the double for himself. Should have pretty much confirmed this round win, but I see the damage had been done there through the spam, and now it's a 1-on-2. I mean, it's technically still possible for Shiro, but he's just so low on health right now that it is going to be very difficult. He has to make the move pretty much. They're not going to be giving him anything. He should be able to, with that though, get the bomb plant.
He has to retrieve the bomb first.
Oh, yeah, he was struggling. I don't think he knew exactly where it was for a sec.
Yeah. It looked like he thought it was more forward towards the end position, though he isolates Snacks. That's a great start. Now going to go into a 1-on-1, but Mouse will be wiser than to jump out of the window. Snacks perhaps taking the bait a bit too easy. And luckily, Mouse has a better idea than how to handle that than Snacks. 8-1, dude. 8-1. I don't know what else to say besides the fact that this is a true disaster. Gambit youngsters are losing control, and above all else, I think they're losing faith and confidence in themselves. Their structure seems to be failing, and at the seams, it's all coming apart.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't even managed to get their feet really in the door here. It really seems like the end of train just continued on into Mirage. It's been, at this point now, 18 of the last 17 rounds, if we include that previous map as well, that have gone in favor of ILLUMINAR. So they have just taken it to a whole nother level. What the hell was that dink right there on the Nafani? Doesn't get the finish, but that was a crisp little one tap, I guess. The nade then to follow it up as well. Nafani not going to be feeling too good about that. But yeah, at least they got the bomb down. They still have a 4-on-5 after plant, but they don't really have the weaponry to make it the easiest of attempted round wins for them, I wouldn't say. Maybe Inters and Axel actually instantly find headshots as they say that. That leaves all 3 CTs actually now moving in from the spawn. It allows for the Ts to put all of their focus in towards one position, and it's working out for them. Snacks hits the no-scope through the box, and despite the previously already relatively low health for Super, it doesn't do enough damage to finish him off.
Oh boy, what can I say? That was a bit of a closer call than imagined, and certainly the A defense did not stand up to standard, and above all else, I think it took ILLUMINAR by surprise the way Gambit youngsters approached the site itself. And that shot by... It was Mouse, right? On Stairways, I believe. With
I'm
the
not
flick.
sure.
With the flick of the wrist, basically. But in any case, timeout going to be called. ILLUMINAR are going to take a moment here to discuss amongst themselves. Is it a rebuy? Is it a eco that they're going to be going for? I mean, already with Veggie buying up, it does look like it's going to be a full investment with Snacks dropping him the M4. And the rest, of course, going down the same road. Rallen can drop a rifle, and Snacks can afford the op. This is still a pretty damn decent buy. I mean, considering all the options they've had, they are playing a very tight match against Gambit youngsters, and knowing that the economy of theirs as well is a little bit diminished.
Yeah, this is the chance for Gambit youngsters if they want to start building back into this game. They need to ensure that they don't just get traded on like they did in the back in Train, where unfortunately they struggled towards the end anyway to get more than that single round that brought them up to 15. Let's see, early mid control. This time not as aggressively taken by Gambit, and also, again, just not really fought for at all by ILLUMINAR. Instead, they've just stacked up the A bomb site, maybe, well, definitely taking a bit of a gamble, but maybe thinking they have a little bit of a read on what the plan is for Gambit youngsters. And they could, but for the moment, there's nothing really set in stone. I think Gambit youngsters just want this mid control so that they can feel out exactly what is going on for the CTs. Or rather, by the CTs. And I believe now setting themselves up for the B split. They have rotated Veggie back over, thankfully, but with very few nades, holding B is not going to be an easy task. And oh, damn, Veggie's gone already.
That's a quick succession there for Gambit youngsters. Rallen was holding the line, only good for one though, and a 3-on-4 retake of B is usually very unsuccessful, not even attempted. And yeah, indeed, that's exactly what you're going to be seeing here. ILLUMINAR pulling away already. As Gambit youngsters, the idea was solid, then the execution even better. They got rid of Veggie immediately. That's the important part, right? That they were able to isolate him, or at least catch him off guard through short to the back lines of Forest. And, well, that shall be 3 rounds to Gambit youngsters. It's not the best start of the map, but it is something, and certainly in this case, they need anything they can get their hands on to stave off this unprecedented, not necessarily defeat yet, but definitely unprecedented amount of pressure that is being put on them, I think is the best way to put it. Because literally this has to be a bit nerve-wracking. They have to feel overwhelmingly pressure to perform, right? Everybody is in this case, you know, hoping, okay, I'm gonna shine a light, you know, I'm gonna be the star of this match. I'm gonna be the star of this map, and everybody on the side of Gambit youngsters is gonna be hoping to start pulling in the numbers, and that is what usually also makes you a bit less focused. And if nothing else, maybe not necessarily focused, but you start making mistakes. You start missing the details, and that's the problem here. Gambit youngsters, hopefully, it doesn't catch them off. It does not catch them off guard.
Yeah, I don't think they'll start doing things like that and just throwing out whatever practice, especially now that they've actually started to win a couple rounds in a row. I think they should be okay in that regard, keeping egos and such in check if there is any. But yeah, advancing forward onto the bomb site, a little bit of a gap here in the stairs smoke that if they try and cross off a default, could certainly cost them quite a bit. And there we go, attempting to cross over. Snacks is able to catch one with the op on towards Supra, and now it becomes one that a round that they do need to be scared of here on the Gambit side, despite of course having the much better weapons overall. There is still a chance for the just sheer manpower now of ILLUMINAR to get this done, and oh, this is going to be dangerous. Going in through the smoke, it is a big mistake. It hands the AK over to Veggie. He gets another kill even through the smoke as Nafany's gone. And with that, the chances of Gambit in this round continuing to fall. Inters does what he can to recover one. Shiro does the same, but he's going to be immediately traded on, and now it falls to the 1v1. Mao's on the up, waiting for that peek, and the patience, it pays off, but he doesn't have time, I don't believe.
Yeah, no time.
He just has to back away now.
If he had a kit, maybe he would have had...
Yeah, I think he would have.
Yeah, but
even then it might have been close.
Yeah, even then it would have been extremely close, just because of the fact that, you know, he had to run all the way to the site itself. And Gambit youngsters, they pull the short stick, but they still somehow get the long one out as well, likewise, both at the same time. So a redraw. They win the round, their economy takes a bit of a tumble down the stairs, and they're able to reinvest fully, at least with the with the win bonus and with the bomb plant and everything they've left over from the last few. Still 4 rounds behind ILLUMINAR though, and at the very best they can make it a single round difference for the first half, which for Mirage would be okay, yet for Gambit I would dare say not as much. In any case, let's see how this goes. It's an eco round, well, basically an eco round for ILLUMINAR with the saved rifle that they had from the previous. Not really going to be working out though. Veggie and Snacks, it's like they're deleted from the server, and in this case, that cuts it a little bit close there.
Yeah, that could have been scary. I mean, if I think Snacks had bought up and off into this round, or am I going crazy?
He saved it from the, well, he had it saved.
Oh yeah, he had it saved over. Yeah, of course it got dropped back to him by Mouse. I was wondering how Snacks had it again.
Yeah,
I'm just
that
skipping steps
that
in my
would be
brain.
weird.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Either way, that wasn't really my point. It was more so if he had have even gotten 1 kill right there. Imagine the damage that could have been done by Rallen on that Deagle. So a little bit unfortunate that he was dropped instantly once that push started coming in, and wasn't really allowed to have any impact like he did in that previous round. But again, considering they don't have the buy-in, they can be pretty happy with the fact that they were able to get a couple of kills. They've kept the economy of Gambit youngsters relatively low, and keeps them with a chance of course, now trying to bounce back, and if they get 1 round, perhaps even limiting the buy a little bit into the final round and a half for Gambit youngsters. But I don't even think that would be too big of a deal. We'll see how they're looking after the reinvestment. But yeah, at this point, ILLUMINAR, they really are, I think if they want to be happy, battling to try and bring it up towards 10. Not because 9-6 would be bad by any means, even if they do only get 1 more. Just because the fact that they had such a fantastic start into this game, the fact that they were up 7-1 at one point. At that point, when you're up 7-1, you really are aiming for at least double digits to end the half.
Whew. Yeah, double. Let's just at this point I wanna enjoy this round, because I know that Gambit Youngsters is gonna be pressuring ILLUMINAR for performance, and well, right now Shiro being perhaps a little bit too needy in getting the first entry, the second as well. Intas walks out of Palace, or at least to the edge of Palace, getting caught by Mouse. The angle heavily favoring him. And speaking of double digits, it's a reality still that can happen for ILLUMINAR, which is the scary part. And this would be a disastrous ending for the first half of Gambit Youngsters if, in case, it goes down like that. Nafani as well. My lord.
Perfect.
Perfect round, clean round. Couldn't be better. I mean,
it's what they
this
needed,
not
so they
only-
can have all the nades as well.
Exactly, exactly. Not only does this give confidence back in the hands of ILLUMINAR, but also it again kind of chips away at the sanity of Gambit Youngsters. It has to, right? And, you know, this is what I meant by them playing perhaps a little bit too individualistically. It's like a round like previous, where Shiro goes in first, and then the rest of the team feels like, okay, I need to perform, and they go in 1 by 1, and that's the end of the road. It's like, that's where the journey ends.
Oh,
Was that a wallbang?
I think he connected it. Yeah, I know that Nade, I believe, done some damage in the beginning as well. Doesn't seem like that damage is helping the CTs out all that much, though, because it's just such a quick B swarm up through short into the apartments, and with that a 4-on-3 being found for Gambit Youngsters, they've overwhelmed B completely, and oh, Nafany's even creeped in towards jungle. I think it may be at least somewhat expected by Mouse, but unfortunately, after not spotting anything immediately, they do just kind of leave it for a moment. It allows for damage to be done. It doesn't find the kill. But with that, they know at least 2 of those players are coming in through kitchen. They should know there's 1 coming in elsewhere because of the fact that the 3rd wasn't there.
Oh, the flank. Again. Not the first time we're seeing to be the bane of Gambit. Luckily, Intas, though, has something to say about that. And with Shiro on short pillar, his angle is just too good. Pulls out the Deagle even. And finishes the job. 9-6. I mean, sure, I'll take it. And so will ILLUMINAR, but we ended train 9-6 in favor of Gambit Youngsters. They lost it 19-15. Now we ended in favor of
To be fair, they went
ILLUMINAR.
up 15-9, so they probably should have had the
That's
win
true.
as well.
That's true. Yeah, it's a valid point you bring up. I know, but again, you know, it's just the fact that they were also losing at 1.8-1 is a little bit devastating as well.
Yeah, no, a fantastic recovery just coming in overall from Gambit Youngsters, though. I think they can be kind of happy, as you said. Being down 8-1 in general is very intimidating. The fact that they were able to bring it back to this point now, I think they can be feeling a bit more comfortable, but the pressure won't be off them until the pistol round is over, and preferably it has gone in their favor, of course, or at least the force buy afterwards that you do normally see coming out. So they just can't afford to let that happen again. If there's another 8-1, then the map is over. That's not even possible at this point. They only need 7 to win. So yeah, Gambit, they need to ensure that they're not going to be starting off quite as slowly here on their on the second half over on their CT side. Looking at the scoreboard, it's again relatively close over on the side of ILLUMINAR between the top and bottom fragger.
Yeah.
Over on the Gambit youngsters side, though, not quite. Nafany really is struggling. Axel as well, not having a great game. Neither is
I didn't
Supra.
like quite Supra, right? Yeah.
It's not something, especially when you swap over to the CT side, that can be happening, because you can't have one player having quite as much impact, because they have to rotate around. They can't just be they can't be the ones who are just pushing forward. Instead, they're reacting to what the opponents are doing, and you can't always be in the correct position.
Exactly, that's the thing, right? You can't always be ready for that engagement, and at one point there will be a crack in the shell that absolutely will be abused by ILLUMINAR. And 9-6, ladies and gents, the second pistol. Let us see if perhaps this time around Gambit can make it work. Gambit can perhaps close the distance and pull it all the way home into a third and final map of Vertigo. Either way, we're about to find out how it goes, as ILLUMINAR is setting the pistol to be a bit of a crispy one. Look at this. We're gonna go through lower. I like it. This is something we haven't seen in a little while, and the odds speak for themselves. We began with what, 2.47 for ILLUMINAR, and or 2.57 or something for ILLUMINAR, and 1.47 for Gambit. Now the difference is quite palpable.
Yeah, in towards Connector and up on A right now is the plan for ILLUMINAR. I like that they're able to get themselves the jungle control, but we'll have to see how effective it'll be, because Shiro's still in there towards jungle. They're yet to actually push forward on him, and unfortunately only even left one player in that position. This was kind of a half in, half out after plan, and they just get torn apart. Absolutely destroyed. Snacks is the only one to contribute to the round for ILLUMINAR, as Gambit youngsters, they get what we said was such an important pistol round here for themselves. Bomb plant at least goes down, and if I'm being honest, I'd like to see just the one full eco coming in from ILLUMINAR, just so they can come out onto their strong investment as early as possible here on the T side. But we'll see what they decide on, because of course a lot of the time when teams get that bomb down, they can just buy up into their rifles, and that does look to be the goal. It could be just that one hero AK. I think that might be the case.
Could be. We'll
yeah,
find
looks
out
to be.
soon enough.
I like this even more, because it gives you a chance to, if not even win this round, to at least try and get 2-3 kills, and then at that point, of course, make it so that going into the next one, you can just wreck the economy of your opponents if you win it.
Exactly. You can make them pay for every single mistake they do, and above all else, I think the most important part of it is the fact that you can win the round with it. You know, as you said, it's something that should not be underestimated. And Gambit youngsters, they do know there's an AK in play. There's only one problem. They do not know if it's a hero AK or if it's a full investment, because they have yet to meet the rest of the team effectively. And that's one of the scary things that might come into play as well. Gambit youngsters might play fully defensive because of that, give too much room to ILLUMINAR, and we know what happens when ILLUMINAR can run around the map unopposed and unchecked. Although, let us hold on that thought for a second. Fanny spots Connector. Plays it smart, not to be too wide, not to be too eager. And I love how Veggie and Innocent are literally taped on mouse. So that one of the players with Kevlar can pick up the AK and continue shooting with it.
Mm-hmm.
Exile though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Veggie even had the Kevlar, as you said, so it would have been perfect if he could get the weapon, but obviously covering off short with just the Glock there, not ideal.
Unfortunately, yeah, not the best position to be in. As Shiro will conclude it with an AUG. 9-8, and Gambit youngsters, they don't lose the second round. That's definitely a bit of a surprise.
I mean, I wasn't surprised that they were able to win it out. I was expecting maybe a kill or two to be found by ILLUMINAR, just with the AK that they bought up. Of course, I figured they'd be able to connect some damage, but overall, a good job by Gambit youngsters. They've unfortunately lost a player, so hopefully that's not something that'll take too long to be fixed up, so they can get back into the game before they cool off a little bit. Obviously, they know they're going to be going up against the gun round now. Snacks, though, obviously haven't dropped over the AK in the previous one. Doesn't have enough to buy for himself, so we'll see what he decides to buy up. Maybe just a pistol, perhaps an SMG if they're planning on perhaps something a little bit quicker. But he has time to decide, at least.
Definitely has time to decide, that's for certain. Question is, what's the game plan here for ILLUMINAR, right? How are they going to approach this round? They don't have, like, glass cannon is not an option, obviously, that's one thing. And with Snacks having to play with an SMG or maybe being traded out for an AK of an SMG of his own, which would be a smart idea in this case, since he is the one that's performing the best on the side of ILLUMINAR. You know, maybe Rallen dropping him an AK and him in return getting an SMG. Not optimal, it's not the best, but you definitely want to give Snacks the option to open up, right? In this case, Deagle gonna be chosen. Fair enough. I'll take that. As GAMBIT youngsters, they're gonna keep to their own weapons, they're gonna keep to the SMG that they kept. And a bit of a default setup from both sides, really. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that would exactly stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, very slow approach into this one from ILLUMINAR so far. One player top mid right in the beginning, but waiting for the others to join up through underpass right now, so pretty much everyone focused around this area. Not doing much on the B side of the map at all. I would imagine that as soon as they get this mid control, pretty much they are going to try and just swarm on A, and they're actually boosting a couple up in the window. Oh, once the smoke goes, Nafany, he's been having a tough game so far, and he's going to have a very difficult task ahead of him. This window control is going to be so important in the attempt to actually stop this A push that is about to come in. Oh, they even got the boost up into ladder room. And because Axel was peeking out for a while, they may not realize that's even a possibility. Was a bit of noise just made right there? I think he did drop down.
It sounded like he might have, although Rallen gets the drop. The rotation can be drawn off of B. Not fully yet, but at least drawn to a certain position. The jump from Carr going to be spotted. Zin says the timing couldn't be worse for him. And now on Exile, he has to defend the site, and he does so quite well. Mouse will fall still. They do lose a trade on towards A site as well. Shiro, AUG in hand, able to pull it back. Still a 2-on-2. Rallen sets himself in CT, but is not watching CT. What is going on right now? Yeah, it's just a bit confused.
This is a 2-on-5.
Yeah, it's like, what in the world?
Very individual fights, and now it's fallen all on Snacks. He does at least have the flank in through kitchen, but I don't think Axel has shown himself. Or he is kind of open, actually, so that's a little bit risky. There we go. Snacks has got the kill. That should give him the bomb plant at the very least. Oh, planting it out in the open, though, for kitchen. You can understand the thought process, of course. He wants to give himself somewhere strong to try and play the after plant, and having just come through kitchen, presuming he'll have a little bit longer at least to move back in, but no. Shiro, he'd already rotated over, he was ready, and with that, they steal away in 9th round, and I say steal because that was a 2-on-5 that they were able to recover. It looked like ILLUMINAR thought they had the round won already, and were just pretty much like, yeah, we'd do whatever.
Effectively, they should have won it, but they are perhaps a little bit too random in their approach at the end, right? You know, they had the advantage. They didn't use it correctly. They gave the one-on-one for Exile. They gave the one-on-one for Shiro. And obviously, when you give a player like that an option, you can be damn sure he's never going to let it go. Either you take it away from him, or you don't give it to him at all. In any case, a rebuy with 2 smokes and a flash. There goes one. Rallen already out. And that's one of the smokes gone. Can actually be retrieved, so, you know, the loss is not as big. Shiro on the off, by the way. Should be another mess of issues that ILLUMINAR are going to have a hard time dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Considering they weren't able to close out the 5-on-2 in the previous round, the 4-on-5 to recover here does seem like a pretty daunting task for them. Oh, I think Innocent was both spotted and spotted. Of course, Inder's jumping over right there. There's a nice nade. Does some pretty good damage, and also ready with the player up close and ladder room to swing out together. Great teamwork right there by GAMBIT youngsters, and unfortunately not the same level of chemistry coming in from ILLUMINAR with their peaks. Eventually one frag is found, but at that point it was only one man left standing, and he was not able to do much coming out of Palace with players all around them. 10-9. Gambit youngsters now have the lead for themselves. This was 8-1 at one point. That needs to be remembered, because this is now Gambit youngsters who have pulled off a pretty incredible comeback for themselves, and have done so a little bit earlier in the game to keep themselves in a position where they can get this win here, maybe even in a convincing fashion themselves. I mean, it wasn't expected after going down 8-1, but they have just turned things around completely since then.
I don't know how the hell ILLUMINAR is faltering as much as they are, but they are definitely starting to underperform quite a little bit, which is unexpected to say the least, given, as you said, how they began this map, how they began this round, or this start. Mouse at 3 HP, smoke towards connector. I'm not gonna say this is impossible, but it's nearly close to it, especially with the way Gambit youngsters is approaching the clearing of the angles here, and they have quite a little bit of utility to work with still. Right now, they will know there's a player in connector. That much is clear. A second player probably behind the corner. Will they check it? Of course they will. They are not going to be making that mistake, the rookie mistake in this case. And Supra, that's pretty much it. They know Snacks is in Palace. Not much he can do. 11-9. As ILLUMINAR is starting to truly falter behind, stumbling across the steps. They've completely been shunted from any sort of attempt of recuperation, and Gambit is about to reach double the amount they got on the first half, or will double the amount they began with the half. Excuse me, that's what I meant.
Pretty soon they will indeed be on that point potentially. It depends. I mean, we could see ILLUMINAR maybe coming back and just taking full control again. We've seen it happen on Train, but at the moment it definitely is Gambit who are looking favored here on Mirage. A lead for themselves on the CT side, as well as the momentum definitely in their favor. Of course, the buy is back in play though for ILLUMINAR, so they're not going to be giving this one away. They do want to try and keep themselves in it. If they're able to fight back in now, then there definitely is still that opportunity. As I said, the execute goes down. They're going to take their time before moving forward, just because there was a ramp smoke in place as well. And the fact that no one has been spotted for quite a while, it could be fake info, I guess, at that point, because maybe the rotation that was coming in, you've seen it was actually cancelled. Although the issue is Nafany had pushed through spawn, so quick flank has been set up, and even now with that opening kill that was found by Snacks with his flank coming in, this is still going to be a pretty difficult push for ILLUMINAR, because everyone is set up for Gambit around this A side of the map. And I like that they're actually willing to play a little bit more passively, so they can let the flanker rather actually get his job done and make sure they don't all die beforehand. But only one. Even if he just stayed alive right there after the first kill, that could have been a better situation. What the hell is going on in jungle? Shiro is just running along. Snacks ended up scoping, and obviously that was heard, and it just seemed like he didn't have the reactions right there. This is very awkward now. Back to the 3-on-3.
This is definitely very awkward, and let's see how they play this after plant. Rallen in a horrible spot. That Tetris, his angle might be good though, as Intes does not expect him to be peeked in. Now Shiro with the ult might have something to say, although Veggie from Palace will clear out stair position. Shiro takes the shot. Why are they peeking him though is a better question, and the answer is still not clear. Why are they peeking him? He has to press the bomb. Luckily enough, Shiro has no idea where the last player is, thinking that perhaps jungle is overtaken. Time has run out, and that shall be 10 rounds to ILLUMINAR. They barely pick it up though, barely. Just scrape by the bottom of the barrel, if we can say so. As Gambit youngsters are okay, stopped in their tracks, at least in Shiro. He's at 25, my dude. He is really pulling up the numbers tonight, or today.
And that's exactly what they needed here in this matchup. We said that they might have struggled a bit on the CT side, considering everyone else was struggling a bit back on T, apart from Shiro and I believe it was Inters at that point. But yeah, Shiro's continued to step up here. He's had everyone else as well doing their job so far on the CT side, as you would expect, with how good overall this performance has been here since Gambit swapped over. But obviously losing that previous round now, it gives a chance to open up the game back for ILLUMINAR. The only problem is the amount of damage they took in the end with the faces, just the fights coming in constantly. They only lived with one. So if they do lose this, then that's going to be a lot of trouble for them. And they just want to go straight towards B. Very limited nades, so trying to see if they can just straight up swarm the bomb site. Taking so much damage from the nades initially alongside the spam that comes in. Axel catches one dropping down from the apartments, backs away just to stay alive.
Yeah.
And with that, give them the potential to at least still have the man advantage for the retake. Good nade damage was found onto the T's as well, including now the Molotov, as you said, onto Veggie. They are not having a fun time being just chipped away at constantly here on the bomb site. Sure, they're getting the trades, but look at Rallen and Veggie's health. Oh, it may not hold them back.
This might be enough right now. This might be enough. If he finds one more, he's running out of bullets. One left, and that's not enough in the end. Still a one-on-one against Shiro, and he pulls it off Rallen. The spray down, the headshot, the continuation, and the domination here by ILLUMINAR. They will pick up their second in a row, and that is pristine to say the least. And Veggie here with 1 HP, nothing he can do. Excuse me, 1 bullet and the low HP, as you said. But Rallen pulls it off, believes his spray, trusts his instinct, and ILLUMINAR take a timeout. I would as well in that instance, but...
Understandably, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way you rolled the R on Rallen. Sexy.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know how it goes.
No, it sounded... I can't do it. With my basic
Yeah, you
ass
can.
Irish
Yeah, you
accent.
can, man.
Rolling R's? I don't think so.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. It's not really
Rallen.
a sound that I use.
Rrr, rrr.
And then he's just turning into like a little moped. That one
Vespa?
clearly was meant to be more of like a cat thing, but the
That
one
was
before just sounded like you were starting to rev a moped.
Yeah, that's the, you know, you do it with the tongue and then you have the guttural R. It's like, oh. It's like, I don't know, it's
Jeez.
Slavic thing.
Sorry, chat. I shouldn't have started him off.
ASMR chat, let's go. Well, GAMBIT youngsters might need a bit of ASMR here if they lose this round, because that might be the only thing that calms their senses. It's gonna be a buy round, sure. Shiro glass cannon, man. This is not looking too sweet.
No, it's not ideal. They hadn't built up all that much money because there was at least damage being done. Most of the rounds were close from ILLUMINAR, so as I had said, now they have a chance to completely break that economy for GAMBIT youngsters and get themselves back into the lead, which was beginning to look near impossible for a moment, considering how many rounds GAMBIT youngsters had taken for themselves in a row. But this is the chance, as I said, ILLUMINAR, they get this one, they're looking good. GAMBIT, though, they want to return before it gets out of hand. They do not want to be getting forced onto the eco at this point here on the CT side. That would be very, very detrimental indeed. But a very slow approach from ILLUMINAR. They are aiming towards B. As you can see, just a couple players lurking at top mid pretty much, but they need to move pretty soon because they've only got 40 seconds. They have 0 mid control. They haven't really shown any presence around A. So it really is B as their only option at this point. They don't have anywhere to back off to if they don't find success in the initial push, because the time as well will be limiting them.
Oh, certainly a bit of a limit on the clock here, GAMBIT youngsters. How do they hold the line? Well, we're about to find out. Molotov flies in. Veggie's gonna find Intis. They know where Exile is as well. The spray down still not complete. Shiro's pop flash blinding Mouse momentarily to allow him to find the entry, or at least the refrag, but this is still not enough. Look at the positions of ILLUMINAR and look at the way GAMBIT have to move around to even get to the site. At denied, being pressed on on all sides itself. Shiro, he's already pulled so far away. There's no chance of a retake succeeding anymore. No kit as well. As Nafani gets himself one. And he's actually going to get away with an AK. It's even better. But this is 12-11. GAMBIT youngsters yet again starting to slip away a little bit. And it's...
I mean, I'm sure the end of train is still there a little bit in the back of their mind, and this time they don't even have that security of the overtime confirmed. It's a little bit earlier, though. We're not quite in those final moments as of yet, but it has got to be worrying to them that ILLUMINAR have been able to reclaim the lead now at this point. A little bit saved over, at least, so they'll have something to work with. It's not a completely lost round here for GAMBIT, but on paper, it does favor ILLUMINAR. They should be able to bring themselves up 13-11, but if GAMBIT can steal this one back with the AWP, the AK, and the FAMAS they have available, it's possible, and it would be massive for the momentum and really just the tides of this game going into the final moments, because the T's themselves did not build up much economy from that previous round.
Exactly so. It might just work, although the execution of A is coming through. No smoke in CT. That's intentional, I guess. Snacks He's got a line of attack here he can use against Shido. And let's see what he actually does to work it. Oh, Shido jumps. Actually, that's not even Shido. Apologies, that was Supra. I thought it was Shido there, but never mind me. My eyes deceiveth me. And well, Gambit was deceived by the smokes as well. We'll have to be a little bit more careful. Oh god, Rallen. That was a bit of a lucky whiff there. Spray as well. Although on site, look at where Supra is. He's been spotted though! And with that spot in mind, still Supra gets one. Enters the round. Pertinent to the entirety of this second half. Although, wow. No.
Oh no, he's pretty much pinned in right now. Mouse somehow needs to take the upper off the angle. The flash does it. The bomb, it was initially being stuck, but there's no kit in play. That whole round, it was back and forth, back and forth. I was straining. It was clenching so hard I was straining right there. That one had me on the edge of my seat. Jesus. I mean, what? It looked like it came down to the 4-on-2 for a second for Gambit. It looked like they had it, then it drops to the 2-on-2. Then we get to see the perspective of the player who's pinned in Palace in the 1-on-2, and he manages to pull off the clutch. That could not have been a crazier round. And maybe that's the one that could bring ILLUMINAR up to the victory. Obviously, that wasn't the full investment from Gambit. They just saved over their weapons, but it can be a little bit demoralizing when you get down to the 4-on-2 there and unfortunately aren't able to close it out. Even if you know initially it probably shouldn't have been your round, the fact that you get so close. So I hope they can bounce back now. And I believe it's actually ILLUMINAR who called in for the pause. I guess understandable how close that previous round went.
Absolutely. They're discussing... You know, they're definitely loving to discuss after every single victory or even, you know, even a loss. They had more pauses, timeouts after a victory rather than a loss. They seem to love to discuss the instance of what happened and perhaps just saying, okay, guys, you know, great job, trying to buff up the confidence, trying to make sure that everybody's feeling right and, you know, maybe the mistakes that were made, you kind of glance over them quickly, make sure, yo, just next time be careful of that, and all that good jazz. But... Gambit youngsters, as you said, they did not fully invest the previous, so they have a chance here yet to prevent ILLUMINAR from reaching that 15th, that 14th point. The worst part is the fact that they are on the CT side, though. Their economy not supporting a rebuy, even if they... Like, if they save up with 3 rifles or more, then yeah, they might be able to rebuy afterwards, but... This is... most certainly... a very chaotic round in itself. That Gambit youngsters, excuse me, game in itself. Gambit youngsters have to get a grasp on, and this is a fake B, one would dare say, with the way smokes are being lined for that B take, and a molly on short, boosting into window. You really got a windows, although Nafani again the flank. It's not the first time we're seeing this. Last time it was actually ILLUMINAR abusing those flanks. This time it will be Gambit youngsters. Great stuff. 40 seconds. Time is ticking. And they'll have to make a decision. It seems to be that B is their go-to route.
Yeah, but the issue is Gambit, they know about that. They even have Nafani coming in again on the flank. I think Snacks, he somehow managed to catch it. Veggie gets a kill as well. He had no idea that Mouse was up close as Inters. He I guess it was called that Snacks was running back through the apartments there with the bomb, so that was extremely well played. I've got to give that to ILLUMINAR. They've gone ahead and sealed the bomb plant now in their favor, and the round as well. Most likely, this was one of the last gun rounds. One more may be available here for Gambit, and that's if they're willing to take one eco and then play for the overtime.
That's the thing. One more. Gambit. They might just be thrown down into the loser best of 3. We'll still have to find out though. Shido, he's going to be trying to hold on to this up with his dear life. I mean, he doesn't really have an option in this case. If he loses the op, he loses all chance, all hope to ever make it. Oh.
Heartbreaking. That maybe could have justified a force buy because he could have dropped one, and Nafani could have bought an M4 body armor for himself, and they would have then had 3 weapons at least. That's the majority, but instead now they're left with what they have here.
The most important part, they would have had an op. That's it.
Oh yeah, of course, but it's not even just that. It would have given them an extra rifle on top of the
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
because of the extra money he had in the
yeah,
reserve.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. But again, it's just the fact that Shiro now has to play with an MP9. It's like, okay,
And with the impact he's been having, you wanted that
exactly,
on his hands.
exactly. And
no.
Nifani,
What a strange push alone with an MP9 in such an important round.
I mean, I would.
They haven't all bought up, to be fair.
I would understand the argument there that he tries to get information, but you can do it so much more subtly, or how to say this best would be.
Cautiously,
at least,
cautiously.
Cautiously, yeah. I guess cautiously would be the right word. At least deploy a pop flash or something, right? Try and get yourself a tiny bit of an advantage. Shoulder peek, try and get some info, and then Exile peeks out window. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Gambit youngsters, they are drawing closer and closer to the edge. In this case, they're the Persians in the movie 300. They're being thrown over the edge right now. Shiro, great stuff. Still a double from him, but
Sparry kicked up short, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. He tried to return the favor, but yeah, this is it. Last buy, last hope.
It
Shiro.
is. It's just an awkward spot to see Gambit in after the fact that they were up. The fact that they went into train looking so good, they managed to get it, of course, to the position where they had 15-9. It looked like they were going to steal away ILLUMINAR's map choice. Instead, now they've come onto Mirage. They had a poor start that looked like they were recovering and were probably getting happy again. And now this has happened again. They have to try and fight back in, which of course the only previous time they faced this was in that overtime back on train where they didn't manage to pull back any of the rounds that they needed. So this is not looking good. Now is the script all the way forward yet again, with the smoke down obviously blocking the vision of the CTs. But that's risky apparently because Inter's waiting up close with a Mag 7, tears off his head. But as you said, it was overall the fake. The up in place, there's no smokes down to block off the vision though. So Shiro is given the ability to catch one off before the connector smoke itself blooms. A 4-on-2, it definitely, obviously, of course, favored for Gambit, but you can't count out ILLUMINAR, especially with that aggressive connector smoke. You see, it gives them the chance to push forward on the afterplan.
And well, Snacks with the op as well, able to shut down one. It is going to be Rallen holding jungle, and this position right here is vital to clear first. Shiro, will he be expecting it is a better question. I think the answer definitely yes, he should be. No, he pulls out his knife. It's going to be Rallen with one. Inters takes out Snacks, still a 1-on-2, and this is Rallen's chance. No, denied as Inter saves the day to defuse the bomb just in time. One hell of a moment here as Gambit youngsters pull it home. And wait, what?
Yeah, I was about to say, did you not realize that? You were still talking and it already had blown up at that point.
I thought he had pressed it in time. Oh no. Okay. Well, that kind of sucks balls then. Gambit youngsters, I'm sorry I gave you false hope.
Straight up honesty right there. That was some sweaty balls.